Yo, what's up, everybody? How you guys all doing this evening? I know it's been a little bit since I've been on a live stream, but I've been still putting out videos for you guys and everything. But I just been kind of chilling a little bit, so I wanted to do just a little late night one with you guys. Let's talk about it. I've been seeing a lot of these things about um this dude who is the son of one of the founders of Hamas. He's been doing a lot of interviews lately against Hamas. And it's really crazy to me, because he's somebody who's more knowing of it in depth of what's really going on, as opposed to the people that just, hearing the things that they're told. And, they really don't know if what's going on is what they're told. So I want to watch a couple of these interviews with you guys. I wasn't going to stay on super late tonight, but let's get into it.
Our next guest probably knows more about Hamas than anyone we've ever interviewed. The son of the co-founder of Hamas. Now he has seen the barbaric group up.
So not is this only just an Hamas member's son? This is one of the co-founders. One of the co-founders.
Close and personal, knows all too well about the evils of terror. Take a look at this.
Hamas does not serve the Palestinian people. Hamas serve Iran. Those are the masters of Hamas.
Crazy to think
that. Their lie about nationalism, that they are a national movement and they care for the Palestinian people, look at them. They are using Palestinian people as a human shield. We need to free Gaza from Hamas. This is what Israel is doing. It's doing the Palestinian people the greatest favor by bringing Hamas down.
Here now with more. Author of the bestseller, Son of Hamas, former informant for Israeli intelligence, Mossab Hassan Youssef. Sir, thank you for coming. Good to see you. Your father was one of the co-founders of Hamas.
Correct.
Hamas has in their charter the destruction of Israel. What do you know? What do you know about Hamas that everybody should know?
Well,
That's a
Hamas
fact, Tyler.
is.
So Tyler, this dude right here, he's the son of one of the founders of Hamas. Everybody, could you guys please hit that like for me if you could? So this guy is one of the sons of the founders of Hamas, and he talks about how bad they are and how evil they really are.
Not a political party. It's a religious movement that is waging a religious war. It's a holy war against the Jewish people. If Hamas was a political party, then we can apply pressure on them, bring them to the negotiating table where they can compromise. But Hamas, as a religious organization, nobody can satisfy their religious ambition because it's a condition in their charter.
Why is this hatred for the Jewish people and Israel? What is this rooted in?
Well, now we can ask the question, why all this Jewish hatred in the United States and the rest of the world?
You mean anti-Semitism worldwide?
Anti-Semitism and hatred against the Jews.
I don't like using words like that. It just plays into people's emotions. Just hate is hate, love is love.
Jewish people. It doesn't matter what form
you grew up the son of one of the founders of Hamas. Why do they hate the Jewish people so much?
There is a religious dimension to that. There is ideological dimension. There is political dimension. There is cultural difference. We're talking about Hamas, 7th century mentality, where Israel is very advanced, 21st century. So the gap is very huge. Hamas represents chaos. This is where they thrive. Israel represents order, democracy. Hence, those are the two opposite extremes that have been clashing.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's crazy.
You just saw a group of people being interviewed by Sarah Carter. They don't know anything about Hamas. They can't say the words Hamas is a terrorist organization. Why are so many people so ignorant of what the truth is? Because I'm sure if Hamas could find you, they would kill you, would they not?
Well, they wouldn't hesitate, but I'm not the only one on Hamas target list. And these people live in denial, basically. They don't know what Palestine is. And what I say, today as an American, I invite all these people to educate themselves first. And we cannot lose sight because Hamas started this war. What we need to do, we need to remove Hamas from power. If Hamas stays in power, there will be more Gaza wars.
But you got Hamas, you
crazy.
got Hezbollah, you got Shia, you got Sunni, you got Syria, you've got
So we need to
Houthi
make an
rebels.
example for all Islamists around the world and for all extremists, savages, that if they attempt to destroy any democracy, not only Israel, any democratic model, that we will stand united and we will find them together instead of being divided like this.
Right.
It seems, regardless of Sunni or Shia, that Iran is, we are told they were actively involved in the plotting, the planning, and the killing that happened on October the 7th. It would be the equivalent, if you base it on our population versus Israel, of losing 38,000 Americans in a day. We lost 2,977 on 9/11. And so is this a belief system?
He really does, Tyler. I mean, it's at this point, like, common sense just isn't so common anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, regardless if you're from Palestine, from Israel, from the United States, right is right and wrong is wrong. So if you're willing to say one side does wrong, then when the other side does the same thing, you should be willing to say that they're wrong as well. You know, or else you're just not keeping the same energy.
Is this convert or die? Is this
Tyler,
ISIS?
make sure to hit that like for me if you could.
Either the world converts to Islam or their version of Islam, radical Islam, or they get killed, they're infidels.
Well, there is the Islamic ideology that inspires them, Hassan al-Banna teachings and
Radical
intellect.
Islamic ideology.
That's one. Then there is tribalism, you know, which is 7th century mentality, where a tribe used to fight a tribe for 100 years until they get annihilated or they annihilate the tribe. So this is what Hamas is saying.
High energy for sure.
It's the Arabian mentality.
This kind of high energy.
They view Israel as a tribe. They want to keep trying until they annihilate Israel or get annihilated in the process.
Well, you see this anti-Semitism. It's all over Europe. It's all over the world. It's in our colleges. It's in the whole.
It really is though. Like they have been. I don't even care about that. Forget the anti-Semitism. Those are just liberal words, and I can't stand when people like conservatives start using words like that because they're just not real.
Halls of Congress. Why do you think that somehow so many have been indoctrinated into a belief system that somehow thinks Israel is the problem when the war was started by the terrorists? The war was brought to innocent people. Innocent people were killed this day. Since when do we blame victims? Why are so many people that Sarah speaks to so ignorant of who these people are, what their aim is, what their goals are?
Yeah, they don't have the power to just condemn Hamas as a terrorist group.
They don't have the power. They don't have the knowledge. Are they ignorant?
And can be in denial because they just want to project whatever they want.
What made you get away from your family?
You know, this is a long journey. I did not leave Hamas yesterday. It has been
a while.
25 years
Wow.
since I decided that this is a dangerous movement and we have to fight against it.
And if they knew where you were on any given day, you'd be a dead man.
It doesn't matter. I'm not scared of Hamas.
I'm not asking if you're scared, but if they knew where to find you, they would kill you.
They won't hesitate.
Not at all.
They won't hesitate.
Son of Hamas. It's a best-selling book.
You know,
and
to me, it's crazy, right? You know, like people like that are willing to speak for what's right. Hello? Nice. I'm doing a stream right now. Yeah, it's crazy to me to think, you know what I mean? This guy is a son of one of the founders. So for him to speak up and let people know how evil it really is, it's kind of mind-blowing. I've seen some other interviews with him too. More recent. Look, this was 14 years ago. This is 14 years ago from CNN. This is a little 50-second interview.
There's nothing more powerful.
I gotta mute that. Dang, on a 50-second interview, they get a freaking ad like that? Let's check this out. So this was
Tell
14
me
years
again
ago.
the turning point and whether it was a person that you trusted, somebody who came to you. Who turned you from wanting to be a
Could you guys hit
suicide
that like
bomber
for me if you
to
could, please?
working
Anybody
for
who
the
hasn't yet, I
Israelis?
really appreciate it.
It's not about trusting somebody. It's about my own experience, figuring out who's my enemy. I grew up in a society that Israel was my enemy, and this is how I was learned. And when I was in prison, I found that there could be other enemies. Also, there are other enemies in the community. So I was confused. Personally, I was confused who was really my enemy.
Wow.
And I needed to figure that out. It's a whole process. It took many.
That's crazy, right? I mean, yeah, that's crazy. Who became spy explains what Hamas really wants. Okay, so this was 5 months ago. He did this with CNN.
Joining us now, Mossab Hassan Youssef. He is the son of a Hamas founding father and later became one of Israel's top informants. He went undercover with Hamas from 1997 until 2007 on behalf of Israel's Shin Bet security services, and he now lives in an undisclosed location. Mossab Youssef, thank you so much for joining us. What did you see and experience that made you turn on Hamas and help Israel?
I feel like just right and wrong would be the
You know,
answer.
since I was a child, I always complained to my father about Hamas abuse of power and their
Wow.
brutality. You know, they're very strict and they very religious. They're fanatics. And but I did not think at some point, you know, they would cause all this global trouble. You know, they are. We saw their brutality. I witnessed their brutality firsthand when I was in prison, when they tortured so many Palestinian people for suspicion of collaborating with Israel. And this is basically when I start questioning Hamas movement.
Dang, that's crazy. Imagine being so young and just, hip to what's really going on. It's kind of nuts, honestly.
Did the barbarity and the cruelty of what Hamas did to innocent civilians on October 7th, did that surprise you?
Well, you know, they surprised me as they surprised everybody by the scale of the attack. You know, we did not see that coming. But their brutality, their nature, it did not surprise me. You know,
No, it
back in
doesn't surprise me either.
1996, they killed so many people. They tortured so many people. Our, you know, prison mates, basically, people I knew personally. They did all type of crazy things.
What's up, chat? How you guys doing this evening?
They put needles under people's fingernails. You know, and I witnessed.
That's torture, boy. That's some sick torture right there, boy. Ooh, I don't even want to think about
that firsthand. So I'm not surprised to what extent Hamas can go. But the scale of the attack on October 7th, that was a surprise, I think, for everybody, including Hamas themselves.
Were you surprised at the failure of Israeli intelligence on October 7th?
The cannabis industry is exploding nationwide, and
I guess you guys can see the types of things that I watch.
Listen, there was a failure, but this is not the time to blame anybody. There is corruption, there is failure.
Yeah, for sure.
There is lack of leadership, but this is not the time now to blame anybody. This is the time to get unified. You know, the United States need to give Israel the necessary cover to uproot Hamas. You know, Israel is fighting on behalf of America. Israel is fighting on behalf of the Palestinian people. Israel now is fighting on behalf of the free world. This is not a political propaganda. I, as an ex-Hamas member, the son of the founder of Hamas organization. And today, as an American citizen, I ask the President of the United States to give Israel the necessary cover, the necessary supply, whatever it takes to uproot Hamas. Otherwise, the next war is going to be deadlier.
I know that you think that Hamas is the enemy of not just Israel, but the Palestinian people. Strategically, do you think it is wise for the Israeli Defense Forces to stage a ground incursion into Gaza to uproot Hamas? Do you think that's a smart thing to do?
Well, now it's a wartime, unfortunately. And this war,
Yeah,
Israel did not start. Hamas started this war.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, here, let's go look at something really quick, right? I'm gonna open another thing so we don't lose our tab right there. What happened on here?
Just after dawn on October 7th, these Hamas militants wearing body cameras took off from Gaza on motorcycles loaded with weapons. Their target, the small Israeli community of Sufa, home to around 50 families.
Crazy.
As they approached, they came under fire from a small Israeli military post.
Think
the
about
battle
this,
didn't
right?
last long. The explosions could be heard a kilometer away in the community of Sufa.
Something sound very, very strange, very loud, very massive.
Yuval Balassan took his pregnant wife and toddler to their safe room. He started receiving messages from neighbors who said he was needed to go out and fight. His wife urged him not to.
I was afraid, tell you the truth. I was afraid
Hey,
because I didn't know what
When they bring it to your door, though, you gotta do what you gotta do.
happened outside.
The gunmen entered the kibbutz and started shooting. Homes, an ambulance,
Oh, this is crazy. They're doing this all on video.
even this dog. Tamaria Cohen was the dog's owner.
They went house by house and they just shoot to kill.
That bullet went through the front door and killed Bernard Cohen, the 57-year-old married father, an unarmed civilian. Then the militants started searching inside, setting fires and shooting indiscriminately. Come down, he shouts in Arabic.
It was really frightening.
This resident, her daughter, and two young granddaughters were hiding in the safe room, trying to stay quiet.
Hell came to visit us. What is going on? Where's the army? Where's the country? We felt like we were abandoned.
After waiting an hour with no sign of the Israeli military, Balassan decided to go and fight. Like most Israelis, he has military training, but works as a civil engineer. He was one of only 4 residents with a rifle, going up against around 30 Hamas militants.
That's my duty. If I have a gun, that is my duty.
From behind a concrete wall, the Israelis opened fire. The militants scattered, and Balassan went up on the roof of his parents' house.
It was a very good position.
They held off the Hamas attackers for 5 hours until the Israeli military finally arrived. When the fighting ended, 3 local Israelis were dead, along with at least 15 Hamas fighters.
Why do you think you were able to be so successful against them?
I have no idea. I just go to defend my kibbutz, the family.
It's still too dangerous for Balassan's family to return to their home, but unlike many other Israeli communities, they still have a home to return to. Donna?
Jeff Semple in Jerusalem, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta mute this. Dude, that's crazy though, right? So that was on October 7th, bro. Like, how can you support something like that? It's just mind-blowing to me, dude. It's crazy to me, seriously. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand it. Regardless of what your ethnicity is, where you're from, who's done what. Like, it doesn't make things right. You know what I'm saying? It's. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm just doing something really quickly. One second, guys. Sorry about that. So let's go back to this one now, right?
War. And Hamas, in fact, in this equation, blood for money, they start a war every few years. Whenever they want money, they shed children's blood. This is their game. And this has to stop. This to have to come to an end. And unfortunately, the price is not going to be cheap. In fact, I feel very sorry for Israel that they have to go into Gaza, where there are booby traps all over the place and tunnels all over the place. I don't know how many Israeli soldiers have to die in order to destroy Hamas. This is the most complicated mission a modern army has in our modern day. Now, what I suggest, to the Israelis, that they wait, they take their time, they collect intelligence. And what I need from the United States to give enough support. In fact,
I feel like the best solution would be to just cease fire on both ends and just let bygones be bygones. Let people live and how they live. You know what I mean? Like, Israel doesn't have to go to Palestine and vice versa. They can literally just let each other be and not worry about anything. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is just crazy to me, dude. And it's all gonna start a world. It's all lining up to be a world war, dude. Because we're funding so much of this stuff right now.
I would like to see the Navy SEALs taking part in this. I know this sounds horrible, but again, I speak as a taxpayer, as an American today, that we need to be unified. We need to give Israel the support. We need to free Palestinians and free Gaza from Hamas ruling.
Right.
You were embedded with Hamas before you were.
But here's my thing on that, right? So if Hamas is, or if Palestine is pro Hamas, then it is what it is. It sucks to really, in the grand scheme of things, but like, if they're supporting it, that's on them then.
Well, first you were with Hamas, and then you were embedded with Hamas on behalf of the Shin Bet. What can you tell us about what motivates these people? What are they like? What are the leaders of Hamas like? What do they want?
Well, they are a religious movement.
Destruction.
And this is what everybody is afraid to say. If Hamas was a political movement, then we can satisfy their political ambition. But Hamas is a religious movement that does not believe in political borders. They want to establish an Islamic state on the rubble of the state of Israel. They want to annihilate the Jewish people and the Jewish state. They want to kill everybody who support Israel, then establish an Islamic state. But this is not the end, because their ambition is global. They want to establish eventually an Islamic state, a global state. So this is what's on their mind. And we know that we cannot satisfy their ambition. And the more power, we give them, the more aggressive they are going to be. Hence, we cannot give Hamas what they want. We cannot give them what they are asking for, whatever it takes. In war, people die. And we need to prepare public. I say that this is an ugly war. Israel did not start it, but Israel will end it.
So the United States insists that the aid being provided for civilians in Gaza will not go to Hamas. Do you believe that the aid will not go to Hamas? Do you believe that the aid will only go to the innocent Palestinians?
The United States and Europe have been very generous with the Palestinian people, but their leadership steal the money all the time. They steal the aid. So much aid came into Gaza. Hamas used all that aid to build tunnels under the ground. And now look at the chaos they are creating. The aid is great, but not right now. I suggest that we open the border for the Palestinian innocent people, including women, children, and elders, to leave the Gaza Strip or to go into a safe zone. In the meantime, we have to enforce unbreachable siege on Hamas. Otherwise, we are not able to deplete them. They are under the ground. They have hostages. We have to cut power. We cannot give them food. We cannot give them water. And we have to deplete them for long weeks before we can even go in. Otherwise, we cannot win this war against this brutal enemy of humanity.
Musab Youssef, thank you so much for your time.
It's just crazy to me to think that, like, that's his son, bro. It's nuts. Air attack, yeah. But then you see stuff like this, like, so check this out, right?
We begin with breaking news out of northern Gaza, and Israeli strikes have killed 3 sons and 3 grandchildren of Hamas's political leader.
It sucks to hear
Several
things like
members
this.
of Ismail Haniya's family were traveling by vehicle in the El Shatet camp when their car was hit. We'll now speak to Yusri Al-Ghul, who's a
This is why I tell people that both sides are wrong in this situation.
journalist. He's also joining us on the
Now you
line
got
from Gaza City. Yusri, tell us what you know about the strike and what's happened.
Yes, good afternoon and good evening. And we saw a misery situation here in the Shapat refugee camp.
How you guys all doing tonight?
We heard an explosion, and we didn't know what happened because it was close to an UNRWA school. But when we ran and escaped from the explosion, some of our neighbors said.
See, this is the thing I don't like, how they say genocide in Gaza. I understand, like, there's always going to be casualties of war. And it sucks, but, like, I seen this crazy video, right? I don't know if I could watch Dr. Phil videos, but, he just had right here. Like, isn't that indoctrination, right? Like, you're literally teaching kids to be angry, evil, and it's just at a young age. This is literally the thing that the United States are going through right now. Except we're not indoctrinating them to kill people. We're just indoctrinating them in weird other ways. These people try and use word salads to try and confuse you a little bit to make it seem like they're saying something that they're not really saying. So I be trying to tell people, bro, it's better to just have a conversation with somebody and just be straightforward. I don't like if I'm having like a debate with somebody or a conversation, right? And I ask you a question, I don't want you to give me a beat around the bush answer. I prefer most, yes or no's and then explain why you say yes or no. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of people, like you could sit there and you can ask them a question, and they'll like try and rebuttal with like, a beat around the bush type of answer, but not really an answer, and then try and ask you a question just to switch it up a little bit. This is why it's so hard to have conversations with people sometimes, honestly. Like I say, I just prefer to, like, when I'm talking to somebody, it's a yes or no thing.
Yes.
Well,
it's not a thing.
Let's just get down to right and wrong.
Okay.
When I talk to people, I'll be straightforward. It's the best way to be, Tyler. Especially, like, with this, right? This is a conversation and a debate in one, where Dr. Phil's not really a moderator. He's talking to everybody, but, like, he's got people on both sides of the fence, right? You got people, this guy over here who is against Hamas or Palestine, and this person over here is for Hamas and Palestine. And it seems like the guy that is not for the son of the leader of Hamas who speaks against Hamas, it seems like he is so straightforward with his answers, and they just beat around the bush and try and say things to play into your emotions. I'm telling you guys, try and tell people it is just so much better to be straightforward when you. I liked that, right? You know who I learned that from? I watched this guy, Deception Detective, right? And so what he does is he was a statement analysis, I believe, or something like that. That's what he did for a living. and then he started a YouTube channel where he would, like, I seen him watch a Zelaner and Nadia's statements on, like, trying to say that they're not cheating. And he would say, you know, you have to watch how people say things because somebody could say something and it can mean something completely different, but they're making you think it, you know, what they're saying is this, but it could mean that. So always pay attention to what people say to you. You know what I mean? Like they could say something, but it could mean something else.
Was going to do.
All right, we can't watch it anymore. Yeah. I don't know why Dr. Phil does that. Makes it to where you can't watch his videos. Sorry.
We begin with breaking news out of northern Gaza, and Israeli strikes have killed.
All right, come on, let's go. Go back. Hold on, guy. What the hell? Hello? Nice. Yay. All right. All right, I'll call you back in a little bit. Bye. I'm in the middle of streaming right now. We're back. We're back, everybody. We are back. I can't watch Dr. Phil stuff, I guess. I don't know. So here we go. Look at so three months ago, Piers Morgan even interviewed him.
Ceasefire now growing across the world. One of my next guests, Cenk Uygur, has been among the loudest voices calling for one. His name was written on an Israeli bomb to be dropped on.
Yo, that's crazy. Look at that. Chunk's name was written on an Israeli bomb.
Gaza, along with that of Andrew Tate and Mohammed Hijab,
Bro,
all
that's
previous
nuts.
Palestinian guests on this show. Well, I'm joined now by Democratic presidential candidate Cenk Uygur, Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of
Yo, why you have to call him presidential candidate? Come on,
the
bro.
Hamas co-founder, Sheikh Hassan Youssef. Mossab has opposed the terror group since defecting in the 90s. And the former Chelsea and Israel manager, Avram Grant, joins me.
Yo, what's up, creating the Alpha
I'll
America,
come to you
baby?
in just a moment. Cenk, I want to start with you.
How's your day going, bro? I really appreciate you stopping by.
Because pretty extraordinary to see your name scrawled on a IDF bomb. Just first of all, what was your response to that?
Yeah, it's, of course, disheartening to see it. It's sick. They're going to drop those bombs on Palestinian civilians. They're probably going to murder babies and grandmothers with those bombs. That's why if I'm president, I won't send Israel a single dollar. Not only the $14 billion they're considering now, but I would end all funding to Israel as they have massacred civilian.
It's about, dude, bro, listen. I would not send a freaking dime to Israel, any of these people, bro. I would not be sending no money to anybody. We have so many problems in our country, bro. I would literally give none of these people any of our money.
After civilian, 19,000 dead, 9,000 children butchered. I do not want a single American tax dollar going to help Israel commit war crimes. And if they think they're going to intimidate me by putting my name on their bombs, they've got another thought coming to them.
We're at a state in this war where Hamas is believed to have around 35,000 terrorists. At best estimate, 7,000 to 8,000, if you accept the IDF figures, have been killed, and that's not been confirmed at all. But if that is the case, that's only 20% of the total. That means that 80% of Hamas terrorists have not been killed yet. Again, I'm staying with you, Cenk, for this. I mean, if you're Israel and your mission statement is to eradicate Hamas, the calls for a ceasefire are going to fall on deaf ears, aren't they? Because they're determined, as we can hear from all the rhetoric, to finish the job as they see it.
Yeah, so let's be clear. I mean, I saw the Mark Regev on before me, the propagandist for Israel that you had on. And first of all, he thought it was funny that my name was on the bombs. I don't think that the children that
I'm not gonna lie. I think it's hilarious his name was on the bomb.
that they're murdering think it's funny. And the idea that they are not indiscriminately killing civilians is absurd. So
hold on, we got Andrew Tate. Why is Andrew Tate's name on there? Holy shit!
they dropped
that is
2,000-pound bombs in residential areas. America never dropped a bomb larger than 500 pounds in a residential area in Iraq, and we did great damage in Iraq, 4 times larger. The area is the size of Las Vegas, and they've dropped 29,000 bombs, nearly half of which are unguided missiles. Then they shoot 3 hostages dead without even checking when they had a white flag and no shirt on at all. And if those 3 hostages were Palestinians instead of Israelis, no one would have even noticed, because now at this point, one more devastating fact. Hamas and what they did on October 7th was terrible, and they killed 846 civilians. The rest were soldiers. Now Israel has, even if you take the IDF numbers of saying that of the 19,000 they killed, is 5,000 they claim is Hamas. It's an absurd number, a total and utter lie, not backed up by any evidence. But even if you accepted it, that means Israel has now killed 16 times as many civilians as the terrorist group Hamas.
Here's the question.
This is why I tell you guys that both sides are wrong. I don't care what the number is. Both sides are wrong.
What does that make Israel?
Should Israel leave Hamas 80% intact? Is that good for anybody?
So, no. So now we get to the absurdity of what Israel says. We are going to stay there until all of Hamas is gone. How? How do we know if they're all gone? How do we know if they've surrendered? How do we know if the Palestinians have turned on Hamas? These are all impossible standards meant to eradicate Gaza entirely, and in fact, they've almost done it already. 90% of the people in Gaza are homeless. We're picking out the body parts of family members every single day in Gaza. It is one of the, and now even the New York Times and every human rights group acknowledges this is one of the worst massacres, the biggest war crimes committed in our lifetimes. America in 20 years in Afghanistan did not kill as many civilians
should they leave
as
Hamas,
Israel has killed in
leave,
2 months.
But should they leave Hamas
So now
intact?
let me give you an answer. Let me give you a productive way to do this, how to drive Hamas out. You make a peace deal with the Palestinian Authority. That buys them the credibility to be able to say to the Palestinian people, we have delivered a state for you, the thing that we have been looking for our entire lives. And now, because we have delivered that for you, we are going to run Gaza. That can drive Hamas out in a way that is organic and driven by the Palestinians themselves. If you just try to murder as many civilians as possible in Gaza, that is not an answer for actually getting Hamas.
Okay.
And by the way, the bombs have shown that they do not affect the tunnels.
Okay.
So all they're doing is killing civilians.
Let me bring in Mossab Hassan Youssef. You're the son of one of the Hamas co-founders, of course, and renounced that back in the 90s. You believe that Israel should finish the job. They should eradicate Hamas.
It's crazy to think that.
Well, absolutely, because all the calling for a ceasefire is calling for surrender. They want Israel to surrender to the terrorist savages and sit down at the table and negotiate with them. And this is absolutely rejected.
Is there any deal to ever be done with Hamas? You know Hamas very well, obviously, through your father. Is there any deal to be done with a group like this now?
There is no deal with the devil. There is no deal with Hamas as long as they pose a threat against children, against civilians, and destabilize security in the entire region. if they get away with their crime, and their crime is not just any crime, it's a genocide. If they get away with their crime, what will they do tomorrow? They have to be punished and they have to be held accountable. All the calling for ceasefire, those are the people who want to give a lifeline to Hamas. And this is not acceptable.
Masab, you tweeted on Friday something that many people found incendiary. You said, never trust anyone who identifies as a Muslim. They may appear as a harmless sheep when they are alone, but when they're in a pack, they will begin to show their tusks. I have zero respect for any individual who identifies as a Muslim, and I may consider the use of force when it comes to Islamists. What did you mean by that? Many people have said, well, why would you say
this dude is wild, bro?
Say that about, over 1 billion people.
Well, I don't care how many they are. Any person who put the religious identity above the highest interest of humanity, I have no respect for these people. The majority of the Muslim people identified with Hamas, supported Hamas. Show me how many Muslims out there who condemned Hamas genocide. Why? Is it because Jewish blood? This is what I meant, that the Muslims, as long as they give Hamas cover, I have no respect for them. As long as I identify as Muslims, I have no respect for them.
But I've interviewed a number of Muslims on this show who do not support Hamas and have renounced them. Cenk himself came on the show before and immediately denounced what Hamas did on October 7th.
I am dealing with a majority of Muslim countries, governments, an entire nation. Don't tell me about an individual here or there. We're talking about a majority of Muslim people.
Bro, this dude is wild.
I'm only saying that because
who fail to take their moral responsibility.
Understand,
they fail to take their moral responsibility because it's Jewish people.
I understand, but you did.
Bro, I feel like he voted for Trump.
You did say literally every Muslim. You said don't trust anyone.
This guy is wild, bro.
That's all of them. And what I'm saying to you is
I like this guy, bro. He's raw.
Who are not extremists, who do not support what Hamas did, who believe what they did was a terror attack.
What's up, chat? How you guys all doing this evening?
They still have the need for a religious identity, which is a false identity. Individuality is something else. Freedom is something else. A person who know who they are above all national and religious identities. There is no need to pose as a Muslim in a critical time in the human history. This is the time to take moral responsibility. What's the point of identifying as a Muslim while people threatening to erase an entire Jewish community? This is not acceptable. This is why I want the Muslim to stand and be clear.
Okay.
Up to this point, I haven't seen the Muslims taking a moral stand, a firm stand against Hamas. You know why? Because they are Muslims. Because they are Muslims against the Jewish people. And this is where I want to push the Muslims to the point where they need to stand firmly and say, it doesn't matter if they are Jewish or Christians. A genocide is a genocide and is rejected. Hamas is rejected. I want to see this clearly. Then after that, I will have respect for the majority of the Muslim people. As long as they fail their moral responsibility, I have no respect for them.
Okay. You made your point very firmly there. We bring in Avram. Avram, look, a lot of emotions run very high with this, understandably. A lot of people have been killed on both sides. It's
Yo, I mean, listen, that guy, he's the son of one of the founders. That's the thing that's like the craziest to me. And he's saying all this. It's like almost like from the videos we were just seeing earlier, right, about the kids on the kids being indoctrinated in the schools to hate Jewish people. I don't know if that's I doubt that's everywhere in Palestine, but it's obviously somewhere in Palestine, right? So I feel like he broke the indoctrination. Like he's one of them people that like realized he was being indoctrinated. You know, I like that.
a horrific situation.
That's respectable and it's very commendable.
You were in Israel on October the 7th. You've been back since. You've spoken to IDF soldiers. You've been to the kibbutzes that were attacked. I think one of your daughter's friends was killed. I mean, it's personal for you. You know, your father survived the Holocaust. What do you feel about all this?
I feel sad. To be honest, I feel sad. But I want to tell you something. I came to Israel a few days before. The atmosphere was very pastoral. My son is a musician. He's writing songs. By the way, he writes a song about the war that he called it Stopper. I say, why Stopper? I say, because for me, everything stopped in the 7th of October. And then I woke up on Saturday morning. My friend called me and said, you don't believe it. 23 people was murdered by the Hamas. I said, oh. And we started to watch the television. The day after, my wife decided that we will take our daughter Romy because she was working in the television. And you know, I don't know if you know, I think also you got all the videos, horrible videos. She didn't want to see it. On the way back, my daughter started to cry. I say, why? I say, we found a lie. Our friend, he was murdered in this party. The way, party for peace, not only by the Jewish people. So this is how I exposed to this situation. But I will tell you, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. All of this area is tragedy. I'm not a politician. I'm a football guy. But I live in this area. I have a lot of Muslim friends. I have a lot. And I want one thing to say. Two things. First, what would you do? What England would do if this massacre happened in England? What they would do? What they would do? They would be silence. And not just this. What they would do if the people that did it said publicly, we will do it again.
Yeah, bro, that was crazy. Plus, they videotaped doing it. That's the even crazier thing, bro. They literally videotaped doing it. Yo, what's up, everybody else? And I see we got some new people in the chat. How you guys doing tonight? If you haven't yet, please make sure to hit that like for me. It really helps out a lot. Also, how is everybody's night?
And we will do it again.
This I can't play ads.
The videos, by the way, all the videos was published by them, was videos by them. Even the Nazis was hiding what they do. What do you do? Of course, you need to prevent the second time.
But are you comfortable, Avram, with the scale of the response by Israel? Do you feel comfortable? Now, a lot of people are feeling increasingly uncomfortable. And when you see 3 hostages being killed, you see women being killed outside churches, the Pope calling it terrorism, the President of the United States saying it's indiscriminate bombing and so on. Do you feel comfortable about this? Do you think that Israel should just carry on, or do you think they should have a pause?
I'm not a general of all things. I think one thing everybody knows, this Hamas don't need to be in this area. If the Hamas is not here, if the hostage was released, by the way, which hostages? 10 months years old, 4 years old, 85 years old. There are people that was in the party. It's not the soldiers. They didn't fight. It's I don't remember in the history hostages like this. They need to release them immediately. They need to put the weapon down. One thing for sure I can say to you, Pierce, if they would put the weapon down, if they release the hostages, and they put all their efforts instead to build tunnels, instead to make missiles, to the quality of the people, Gaza can be paradise. I can assure you to this, for sure.
But do you think Israel should continue fighting until they get rid of Hamas completely? Or that could mean many, many months, if not years, at the rate they're going.
No, I don't know. People say 6 weeks. I don't know. I think this is need to be the target of the free world and Israel to get rid of the Hamas. Because the Hamas, I'm one of the people that believe them, not believe the number. They said, we want to kill again. We want.
Yeah, they did. There's no question of that.
So you need to get rid of the Hamas. You need to get rid of how to do it. I'm a football coach.
Everyone talks about the day after the war. What do you think the future looks like here? How do we get to peace?
I mean, here's my thing, right? If they're going to these civilian cities, like the videotape that I saw earlier, and they're doing these terroristic attacks, I don't know how many, I forget they said how many civilians as opposed to how many soldiers, but it doesn't matter because, you know, obviously There's going to be casualties. It's terrible. It doesn't matter how many. One is one too many in my eyes, right? So if they're going to go back and do it again, and they're saying they're going to do it again, knowing that they're harming innocent people, how can anybody support that? I just don't get it. This is why I say though, like both sides are wrong. You know, you seen the thing with like we watched earlier where Israel did strikes and killed like 6 children or something. Like this isn't right either. Both sides are wrong in this situation. They need to just both cease fire on both ends, and I don't know. It just this is crazy. It's crazy really thinking about all this. Like we're on the brink of World War III. I firmly believe that.
I'll tell you exactly. Not exactly. I will tell you my opinion. First, I have a lot of Muslim friends. By the way, I have friends in Gaza. My wife even did a program about family from Gaza. I have friends, all the Muslims around the world. They condemn what's happened. They don't like it. I don't agree with this guy. I agree with him that the Hamas is the devil, but not all the Muslims are like this. They didn't like what they do. I think the people in Gaza deserve other government. They deserve other leaders. They need a leader that.
And who should that be?
They need to lead. I don't know. They need a leader that from them, leaders that take care of the quality of life. They need a leaders that will lead them to this area. They need a leader that their target is not to hate. Their target is to build something. Their target is to do something, not to hate others.
Right, because like when you hate, you don't love. You should be doing things out of love. You should want to better your country out of the love. You should want to tell people things to better themselves out of love, not out of hatred for them. You know what I mean?
They deserve. One thing is for sure. You know the song of Martin Luther, the speech, I have a dream. I also have a dream. I have a dream that it will happen. I will tell you something. The leader that I admire more than anybody, I think, is the number one leader on the 20th century is Anwar Sadat. Anwar Sadat was a guy that was the worst enemy of Israel. In 25 years, 4 wars. One of them, he started it, yes? They killed each other. Many people died. Many people got injured. And this guy decided to come to Israel, to the parliament, and say, I know I want a peace. And I will tell you something. In these days, to say, I'm going to Israel, it's more than Bin Laden will come to America, And he came, and what's happened since then? 50 years, nobody died. Yeah. It's a cold peace. I want the peace will be better. Nobody died. I expect that these leaders now in the region, and I agree with the son of the father, will take responsibility. And they say, let's make Gaza paradise. You know that I try to do a project of football.
Yeah.
Pitches on the borders. And I will do it, by the way. Pitches between
Israelis playing Palestinians.
Yeah, and the people will come to Peter. I try to do this project. I still believe in this. But I expect this leader, maybe it's Mohammed bin Salman, maybe others. I expect the leaders to sit together and say, instead to give them money for tunnels, why they need the tunnels? Why didn't make money to the quality of the people? Like Anwar Sadat came to Israel, very brave man. I expect them to do this. And I will tell you one thing.
I've got to go actually, Avram. I think you're right.
I will put all the leaders together that want peace, even from Iran, even from everybody that want peace and want to make a Gaza paradise.
Make it happen.
They can make it. And you know how it started? When Anwar Sadat called to Walter Cronkite and say to him, I'm ready to come to Israel. Yeah. So maybe they will call you peace. And they say, let's make peace. Let's make Gaza paradise.
I would do anything
and let's stop the intention of killing other people, because I agree with Mark Reagan. The Israel never have intention to kill other people.
Avram, got to leave it there. Fascinating to talk to you. Great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. And to my 2 other guests, I really appreciate it. Jake, I can see you wanted to jump in. We will come back to this. You're a powerful voice, and I will come back to you about this. I've just run out of time tonight, but thank you.
Dead
it's horrendous.
Children. It's
Jake,
acts of terrorism.
I will get you back on again soon, and we'll talk about it again. I promise you that. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Yeah, look at this comment right here. People arguing about Hamas with the son of Hamas founder is wild to me. That's exactly what I said, bro. That doesn't, like, this dude obviously knows. So, let's see. Mossab Yusuf, right? Yeah, you're a towel. So let's see. So, oh, Chris Cuomo has his own thing
Potentially,
again.
a big shift in the reality of what Israel is targeting in Gaza came when the director of a Gaza hospital where victims of this war, women, children, and babies, were being treated. Remember, how can you hit these hospitals? What are you doing? And the IDF is saying, well, sometimes a hospital is not a hospital. In the interrogation, the director, who was taken by Shin Bet, who is the Israeli part of their intelligence apparatus, there's a video. And he says, and he doesn't look like he's beaten to death. He doesn't look like he's scared to death. He says he's been with Hamas since 2010, that he has a high-ranking position there, that there were close to 100 terrorists in the hospital at one point because they knew the hospital wouldn't be targeted by Israel, that Hamas had offices for
That's
senior leaders in
crazy.
the hospital.
Think about that, right? How is that right to do that? So these people are literally putting their own people at harm. If this is true, what this guy is saying, bro, these people should be put away for crimes against humanity. You shouldn't be hiding in hospitals. No, dude, you guys want to go to war, you go to war with each other. Everybody who's for it should go on the battlefield and fight it out. You don't hide in hospitals if this is true. What?
And even held a kidnapped Israeli soldier there. And that they do use their ambulances to transport Hamas people, including the hostages of Hamas. Now, all of these things had been offered up by the IDF. In fact, it tracks so closely with what we had been told by the IDF that guess what's happening? People are saying that this is a BS statement, that this guy's only doing this because Israel is going to beat him with an inch of his life 10 times if he doesn't. A man who knows the Hamas playbook and the IDF playbook better than just about anyone is back tonight. I don't care if you like what he says or not. If you argue with this man's pedigree, then you are not coming from a place of rational argument.
No, for sure. I mean, listen, I don't agree with Chris Cuomo on pretty much anything. But what he said is true because this dude has literally been on both sides of the fence. So I feel like when you're in that situation, you can kind of have more of a distinction between of what right and wrong is.
Okay? The son of a Hamas co-founder turned Israeli spy joins us again tonight. Mossab Hassan Youssef. My friend, it's good to see you.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me.
So let's do this a little Socratic. This is too good to be true. Even though the guy looks okay in the video, he is saying exactly what Israel has been saying. It must be coerced.
Look, this guy is deeply involved in the terrorist operation. This is not the first doctor that Hamas hires. In fact, many of Hamas leaders are doctors and engineers. Many people think of Hamas like ISIS. But Hamas does not hire losers. Hamas hire the people with a status, with education, with power. So this is not the first Hamas doctor out there. But what this guy forgot to say, that Hamas used the hospital to actually transfer substantial amounts of money from outside, and they use the hospital as a cover so they can pay their employees. He did not say everything because he didn't know everything about Hamas operation. This is just the view from his position. But Hamas used the hospital for a lot more than just employing 100 terrorists and having offices at the hospital.
All right, another point of skepticism. This guy just signed his own death sentence by giving this statement. He can never go back. He can never go where he's from. Why would he do this when, I don't have to tell you, but there's so many stories of people enduring torture and years of incarceration without giving up any secrets about Hamas. Why would this man so calmly dish all this information that he knows is a death sentence?
Because he knows he's not built for it. That's why.
Listen, 90% of Hamas members speak in interrogation, and without even any mental or physical or psychological pressure. They just speak. I know this from personal experience into the interrogation centers and spending 27 months with Hamas operatives. And this is not a crime. Hamas will not punish this guy. They will not punish anyone who actually confessed during interrogation.
Why not?
Blockhead, that's what he is. But so this dude is like, bro, he's literally letting you know what it is.
They don't consider it treason. They just consider it because Hamas leaders, once they are arrested and in interrogation, they all vomit their plans, their plots, and their operation, their secrets. It's not a new thing. Throughout, Hamas pose as lions on the outside, but once they are under interrogation, they became like rats or rabbits. So this is not a new thing. All Hamas leaders confessed about the movement infrastructure. There are thousands of Hamas operatives now as we speak, and all of them given lots of information. And I think this what will give Israel the leverage for the next phase of this war.
Hey, thank you for watching. Because he's been with Hamas since 2010. That he is a high...
Dude, that's crazy, right? And this is just so interesting to me. I never knew about this guy. Condemned. Okay, so this is him talking about the October 7th stuff.
We have to put two microphones on, one for their camera, one for our camera, okay?
He doesn't come to Israel much, to the place he fled from 17 years ago. But this week, Musab Hassan Yosef, the son of a senior Hamas official in the West Bank, arrived all the way from the United States, and he's ready and loaded.
After October 7, there was no way, not to come and stand with the people. I saw the massacre footage, which, changed my life. My life would never be the same after October 7.
Looks like
you're crazy.
Disappointed in a personal level.
Because it is very personal. It's very personal.
You're very angry.
I was very angry, and I'm still angry. For many years, I spared my father. For many years, I gave him justification. I saved his life. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. He's insisting in staying in this sick ideology. And you think he has an idea what happened on October 7? I need to take him and stick his head in the blood of the massacre. He may feel for a little bit what happened on October 7.
Well, the dude is talking about his father.
We know him as the Green Prince, the boy who grew up in Ramallah, the eldest son of Sheikh Hassan Yosef Khalil, one of the founders of Hamas. Terrorism was the family business. The father divided most of his time between the West Bank and Israeli prison, and the prince continued the family tradition, buying weapons and planning terror attacks. But when he was 17 years old, everything changed. He was arrested and for the first time saw prison from the inside and the brutality of Hamas. In those days, suicide attacks became all the rage. For Musab, this crossed a red line.
When I stood against suicide bombing attacks some 20 years ago, this was madness in a society where the majority, the vast majority agreed. I disagreed. And that was my punishment.
Crazy.
For just to think differently. In order for me to express myself freely meant for me to be executed.
Think about that, bro. You're not even allowed to have your own opinion. Like, this is crazy. Dude, people think we got it bad over here. It ain't nothing compared to over there. They're literally telling this dude they're going to execute him for telling them they're wrong. What? That's crazy.
At this point,
we got things like this. Like, I got a, can you guys see this? I got a F Joe Biden flag. And that's our president. Yeah, that's nuts, dude. Like, it's so weird to me.
The Shin Bet entered the picture. The organization managed to turn
I mean, that's how it's going right now in this country, though, Tyler.
and he became an extraordinary intelligence source. For 10 years, he lied to his family and worked secretly for Israel, preventing terror attacks and saving many lives. When Sheikh Hassan Youssef discovered the act of treason, Mossad was already overseas.
For my father, the biggest threat for his existence is to lose his honor, to lose his public image. This is the challenge that I gave to him. He invested his entire energy, his entire life to maintain his public image, his status. You know, now you are the father of the greatest traitor of the cause of your people. You'll have to deal with it.
If there's anyone who really knows how to explain what Hamas really is, it's him.
Were you surprised by what happened on October 7th?
Look, Hamas brutality was not a strange thing for me. I witnessed Hamas brutality firsthand for a very long time when I was in prison. They tortured people, they killed people in the worst possible way for suspicion of collaborating with Israel. I cannot pretend that I did not hear their voices. People were screaming day and night in pain of a crime that they haven't or hadn't committed. None of them had a relationship with Israel.
Knowing what they do to people in prison, were you afraid for your father's life when you came out in public about your story?
Of course, it was a very dangerous situation, but also he's a top leader. So usually who gets punished in that society? Those who don't have power. But those who have power, they get away.
That brings me to Sinwar, you know, they call him
This is just mind-blowing me that this is like the son of a Hamas founder saying all this, bro. This is crazy.
The butcher from Khan Yunis.
He suffocated people with his own hands. He slaughtered people, beheaded people with his own hands. And those people were Palestinians. He's a monster. Self-deluded, psychopath, dangerous criminal. He enjoyed, he bragged about himself beheading someone on the prison sink. And this is his heritage, this is his resume, this is his empire.
What's Hamas' goal?
Well, Hamas doesn't even know what goal they have because their goal is not in this life. Hamas does not believe in this life. Hence, they want to kill, then get killed. After getting killed by the name of Allah, they get rewarded in the afterlife. They are the sword of God on earth, and they see the Jewish people.
Bro, imagine believing this, man. Like, God doesn't teach you to hate. God wants you to love.
People as the disobedient, the ideology that actually sees the Jewish people inferior, sees the Jewish people as enemies of Allah, that in fact killing the Jewish people is considered a way of worship. Why would any sane, decent human being would go into a farm, a kibbutz, and kill all form of life, to kill a baby, to burn a baby based on religious, basically defines ethnic cleansing, defines a genocide.
I don't care what anybody says, you do that, that's wrong. I don't care who did it.
There is no chance for peace with Hamas. Hamas must be finished. That's it. There is no alternative option. We cannot coexist with Hamas, not as Israel, as free individuals. And by the way, by standing with Israel doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going against the innocent people, if there is any. We are here in Khan Yunis area. Right above us, there is a school, and this is what Hamas has been doing.
He knows the ins and outs of it.
Are there non-involved people in Gaza?
The vast majority of Palestinians are complicit with Hamas because they voted for Hamas. They protect Hamas, and most importantly, they failed their moral responsibility to condemn Hamas. The least you could do.
Your father, you know what he said when they asked him about the massacre? He said, mistakes will be made. We are human, and human makes mistakes.
My father said that?
Yeah.
Where?
In one of his interviews.
Is he taking responsibility for his mistake? Is this the way of Allah? You send people who are like killing machines going into peaceful communities, wiping everybody out. You call that a mistake? A genocide as a mistake?
Crazy to think, dude. Really, really crazy. And that was a month ago. I don't want to watch an hour-long one. That was it. So this was 9 years ago. I never even knew about this dude. Here's what Piers Morgan again. This was 5 months ago.
Now by Mossab Hassan Youssef. Mossab, great to see you. It's an extraordinary story, yours. You were the eldest son of a man who was one of the co-founders of Hamas, and indeed for your early formative years, you worked alongside your father, so you got a great insight into Hamas. Tell me this from the start. What were the intended plans for Hamas when it was founded, when it started, when it developed? What was the plan?
You know, since its establishment, Hamas has one goal in mind, which is annihilating the state of Israel. Like the best, let's say, compromise that they could do is having a truce for 15 years, a ceasefire for 15 years as maximum, you know, but with no guarantee how they will act after. It's absurd. It's not a secret that Hamas wants to destroy the state of Israel. They cannot accept Israel or accept Israel's right to exist.
What was the point that you decided to get out of there, to flee this world, this environment you've been brought up in?
You know, I have many reasons. Since I was a child, I asked my father many questions about Hamas delusions, about their brutality, about their abuse of power. And always he justified, you know, their position. Then I was imprisoned with Hamas. I spent about 27 months in Israeli prisons where Hamas was torturing their own members, our own people, within Israeli prisons. They killed actually and tortured hundreds of prisoners. And this is when I start asking myself the question, what if Hamas become the ruler at some point? What will they do to our people? And many years later, Hamas became the ruler of Gaza. And I wasn't surprised by their brutality.
When you heard what happened on October the 7th, what was your feeling about that?
Look, as I told you, I'm not surprised by Hamas brutality, but I was surprised by the scale of their attack. You know, not to this degree, wiping out entire communities, you know, messing with a nuclear power, the most powerful country in the region, a country with a trauma, great trauma from the past, with a memory of a Holocaust and all the Nazis did in the past century. They opened the gates of hell on the Palestinian people. This is how irresponsible this group people are. You know, that they are willing to actually sacrifice many Palestinian children, the entire Palestinian people, and use them as a fuel to just achieve their ideological agendas, their religious agendas. They are careless. They don't care for the human life. We have to separate between what's so-called Palestinian cause and Hamas cause. Hamas cause is a sick one. It's coming from the pit of hell, you know, and they need to be removed from power. This is my message as an ex-Hamas member, as a son of one of Hamas founders, that enough of this. If we don't stop them now, the next war is going to be deadlier, and only God knows what will happen next if Hamas is not finished as soon as possible.
Mossab, how many regular Palestinians, particularly in Gaza, do you think sympathize with Hamas or indeed fully support them?
You know, once Hamas is removed from power, we're going to witness people celebrating in Gaza. I guarantee you that. The people of Gaza are oppressed for so long, and they had to endure siege, they had to endure violence, many wars, for the sake of Hamas' lust for power and for Hamas' political ambition. When this comes to an end, I promise you that the Palestinian people, first of all, will thank Israel for what they did. Second, the idea of annihilating the Jews and the state of Israel will be dropped forever. You know, because Hamas is the, you can say, the last experiment of adapting violence, trying to annihilate and destroy the state of Israel. This didn't work for Yasser Arafat. It took him 40 years to realize this. And Hamas has been trying for 35 years to destroy Israel. Finally, I hope that they will come to this understanding that Israel is going nowhere. If they insist on annihilating Israel, and of course, if Iran keeps on insisting on this goal, this means the destruction of the entire region. This is the only uncertain outcome of this, because Israel is going nowhere.
How do we get to peace from here?
You know, this time, I'm afraid that war is the only way to peace. Because if Hamas is not removed from power, then they will build more military, they will build longer range missiles, and the next attack, the next war is going to be deadlier. The use of force is the last resort. You can find this in every culture. And unfortunately, now Hamas left Israel and the free world as well with no choice but to fight them and put an end for their violence. Many civilians are dying, I understand this. Their blood is on the hands of Hamas, and Hamas only.
That's
You
crazy.
see, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of pro-Palestinians who I've had on the show in the last 2 weeks don't accept that argument. They say the blood of the civilians in Gaza is exclusively on the hands of Israel, and that Israel's waged a repressive occupation for many decades. There's been a prison camp for Gazans for a long, long time, and that has created the environment through which a terror group like Hamas can thrive and indeed win an election, as they did in 2005.
That's crazy.
Do you buy into any of that? I mean, do you think that Israel has overreacted already to what happened to them? Their argument is, what is proportion when you...
In short, the answer is no. They are not at fault. However they got elected, that is the problem.
Have a terror attack like that on your people?
Look, since my childhood, and I am hearing the stories from pro-Palestine and from those who are using what's so-called the Palestinian cause. They care the least for the Palestinian children and their future. You know, I am the legitimate representative of the Palestinian children. The child within me speaks. I don't want somebody coming from London or somebody coming from the other side of the world to tell me what is the struggle of the Palestinian children. The Palestinian children, the Palestinian society has been hijacked by these criminals, and anybody who takes their side is participating in their crime. This is my answer to those people. And for the civilian casualties, etc., you know, first of all, Hamas is using, and it's very clearly, it's a fact that Hamas used civilians as human shields. It's a fact.
This dude's just speaking truth right now, boy.
Then it's a fact that Israel call and warn civilians to evacuate buildings before they strike them. But in the meantime, Hamas put roadblocks to stop civilians from evacuating to safe zones.
Now, is that true? I didn't hear about that.
Hamas single misfire killed hundreds of refugees taking shelter at a hospital, and they blamed Israel. What are we talking about here? Israel is a democracy. Israel is accountable. Israel is not thirsty for the Palestinian blood. In the meantime, Israel is capable of wiping out Arab capitals in seconds. Why Israel does not attempt to abuse its power? But why, when the Arabs have just a little bit of power, couple of missiles, they misuse power by launching them at civilians and kill them in their living rooms?
I definitely can't imagine.
That's crazy.
Problem, and we need to stop blaming Israel. We invited this upon our heads, and the rest of the world, if they don't know the reality on the ground, it's better that they shut up.
Mossab, your passion and your anger is very palpable here, and certainly very different to most of the pro-Palestinian voices I've had. And I sense the Palestinian plight of its people is very much in your heart. Do you still have contact with any of your family?
This is irrelevant right now. I don't have any contact with my family, and I don't care anymore. Enough bloodshed and enough involvement from people who don't care. They're just warriors on keyboard, and they're just storming world capitals saying free Palestine, free Palestine. They don't know what the hell Palestine is. I am Palestine. And I say it's enough of Hamas. It's enough of the corrupt leaderships that they are killing our people, misleading them to hell. Is enough of that. We don't want Palestinian state. I don't want Palestinian state. Palestinian children need education. They need security. They need life. This is what they need. They don't need another corrupt Arab regime.
Is it possible to get rid of Hamas in the way that Israel is currently trying to do through airstrike bombardments and it is planned now an imminent ground invasion? Is that the best way to do it? Or is there a danger of radicalizing a lot more young Palestinians to the Hamas cause in the process?
Listen to this. We are going to remove Hamas from power. Remember my words, okay? And Hamas did not only bring the wrath of Israel over Gaza. Hamas brought the wrath of God. We are going to remove them from power, and we are going to persecute their leaders, and we are going to bring them to justice, and the world will witness their punishment. And everyone who take their side today in this state of confusion, thinking that this is a joke, I tell those people that you are going to regret taking the side of Hamas. You are going to regret taking the side of those criminals who are killing the Palestinian people.
Mossab, you were born in Ramallah. That's your home. Do you dream of going home?
It looks like there's still stuff.
One day? Is that something you still aspire to do?
I prefer not to answer this question.
I understand. Mossab, thank you very much indeed for joining me. It's extraordinary to hear your story, and it's a remarkable pitch that you make to the people of Palestine. And it's one that they will hear and will see their reaction. But I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this dude, I feel like, saw the light, It's crazy to hear, like, of the founder of the son of Hamas. Or the son of one of the founders of Hamas. Like, she did a 7-hour interview with him that I could. Well, can you guys talk to anybody for 7 hours, bro? I don't even. I guess if I'm playing a video game or something. Let's see. This was 9 years ago. See what else is going on. I think they meant to write perspectives. And yeah, I'd imagine they got tunnels and stuff under Gaza. Okay, so this was 2 hours ago.
I want to bring in the former United States ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton. He was also President Trump's national security advisor. As you know, Ambassador, Israel's ambassador is calling for the UN Security Council to immediately convene following these attacks. What's your assessment of what's going on right now?
Well, nothing's going to happen in the Security Council, that's for sure. I mean, what we had tonight was a massive failure of Israeli and American deterrence, massive failure, a 200 ballistic missile, cruise missile, drone failure. And I think, notwithstanding that there appears to be very little damage, fingers crossed until we get the final assessment. And thank God if the death toll is low or non-existent. And while we're at it, let's thank George W. Bush for getting out of the ABM Treaty of 1972, unleashing American missile defense capabilities. But once we see what the damage is, I think it's incumbent on Israel and the United States to reestablish deterrence in a major way. And I think that means, by definition, Israel's response, and there should be a response, should not be proportionate. It should be far stronger, because when deterrence fails, to reestablish it, you have to teach the adversary that any gain they may hope to get by any future attack will be more than outweighed by the damage that will be caused. So I hope President Biden isn't...
Well, I was just sorry for interrupting, but give us your assessment of an appropriate Israeli response to what Iran has now done.
Well, what Iran did tonight that I think was most significant was the firing of ballistic missiles and cruise missiles from its territory directly at Israel. Almost certainly at this point, none of those missiles contained a nuclear warhead. But you never can tell when the next firing, the next salvo of ballistic missiles might contain a nuclear warhead. So I think among the many targets Israel should consider, this is the opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I hope President Biden is not trying to dissuade Prime Minister Netanyahu from doing that. And if he succeeds, and if at some future point the Ayatollahs are able to pull off what former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon called a nuclear holocaust, history will know who to blame.
So just to be precise, Ambassador Bolton, you're recommending that Israel launch an airstrike to try to destroy whatever nuclear capabilities the Iranians might have? Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. I think they should go after the nuclear fuel cycle activities that are well known. Their locations are well known.
This is nuts.
And I think that would be the appropriate target, because right now Iran has demonstrated it is not restrained by any concern about a direct attack on Israeli territory from its attack. It has by...
Plus, didn't we leave a bunch of equipment in Iran?
By its own admission, fired ballistic and cruise missiles, and the only thing that has saved Israel is this amazing technology. Next time, if the attacks come from a different location containing nuclear warheads, Israel might not be so lucky. This is not time to play academic games and message and signal. This is a question of power. People say they're concerned about a wider war. The wider war began on October the 7th. That was not an Israeli war against Arabs or Palestinians or Gazans. It was Iran's attack on Israel using the Ring of Fire strategy. That's the strategic environment Israel faces right now. And the main cause, the puppeteer, the puppet master, is Iran. And if you take away their nuclear capability, that would be a dramatic hit to the regime, maybe enough to topple it.
This is crazy. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Because this was just 2 hours ago that they just put this up, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this was just uploaded 2 hours ago. What do you guys think is going to happen with this? Do you guys think that Israel's just going to full-on strike back Iran? Bro, I feel like we're about to be in world... I seriously see us going to World War III. Especially with all the stuff with China and Taiwan now. Like, I really think we're on the brink of another world war. And it's not going to be good for anybody, in all honesty. It will not be good for anyone.
Ambassador, my colleague Jim Sciutto is here with me in Washington. He has a question, he has a follow-up question for you. Go ahead, Jim.
Ambassador Bolton, given, and you know as well as we do, that Hezbollah and its enormous missile arsenal, many thousands of rockets and missiles, is intended in part by Iran to be a pressure point if Israel were to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. And I wonder, given the size of that, an order of magnitude bigger than it was, say, during the 2006 war, whether you believe Israel can today fight what would be a multi-front war, Gaza in the south, Hezbollah in the north, Iran to the east, and if you would then envision the U.S. directly involved in such a conflict.
Well, I think for the foreseeable future, Gaza is not going to be a principal battlefield, and it's certainly not something that's going to engage full Israeli military power. I think Hezbollah put pressure on Iran. It's one reason why the Iranian counterstrike took almost 2 weeks after the Damascus strike by Israel to say, you need to put skin in this game, Iran. So I'm not at all sure what Hezbollah's response would be to Israel taking out a nuclear power that hasn't done a thing for Hezbollah. The Israelis clearly have thought about what to do to neutralize Hezbollah. Perhaps their response, which also would be a pretty big problem for Iran, would be to go after Hezbollah now. My point is there are a number of steps Israel can take. Passivity at this point for Israel would be a big mistake. I mean, I think from the Israeli point of view, they should remember what Winston Churchill said in World War II, without victory, there is no survival.
How close is Iran to actually having a nuclear bomb?
Well, I think about 72 hours that they can get if they send a wire transfer to the central bank of North Korea in Pyongyang and give the North Koreans enough time to put a couple warheads on an airplane and fly them to Tehran. You know, there's a lot of talk about how close Iran is compared to how close they were 4 or 5 years ago or before the Trump administration pulled out of the nuclear deal, all of which assumes perfect knowledge of Iran's nuclear weapons program. I think we should have enough experience with faulty intelligence by now not to be so sure, not to know how much of Iran's uranium enrichment program is really being conducted under a mountain in North Korea. The fact is they're very close. The fact is the nuclear deal of 2015 was flawed from the start by allowing Iran any uranium enrichment capability whatever.
Ambassador?
Bro, that's crazy. If this is true, you know what I mean? Because I take everything I see on the news with a very, very, very big grain of salt. You know, it could all be propaganda for all we know. But if this is true, bro, World War III is what we're heading towards. Like, look at this, right? So this was 4 hours ago. Same guy.
The cannabis industry
Talking about, let's see if it's anything different.
over the skies of Israel. A wide-scale aerial assault is going on right now with waves and waves of drones and missiles streaming in from Iran, directly from Iran. Our team on the ground in Jerusalem has been hearing explosions. The sirens have been going off over these past several moments as U.S. and Israeli.
Well, it seems like this is pretty much just, okay, no, they got somebody.
People really, I think, just taking in these extraordinary images that we're seeing, particularly over Jerusalem, of those intercepts over the Al-Aqsa Mosque itself, one of the holiest sites in Islam, and trying to grapple with what this portends for the region.
Joe Biden 2024 for what? The fucking old people's home? Yeah, we could definitely put him there. That's great.
Broadly, we are expecting to hear from the
I'm going to show you some reasons why that's not a thing. It's hard to find this stuff without, like...
How imminent do you think an attack?
No. Look at his face right there. Look at Joe. Joe, look at your face, bro. Look at your face right there, dude. We're going to make it bigger. Let's see if we can zoom in. No. Look at your face, dude. Why? Why do you look like this? Why?
On Israel is from Iran, Mr. President.
I want to get the secure information, but my expectation sooner than later.
What's your Mr. President? Mr. President, Iran right now. Mr. President, what is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
Don't. All right.
Are American personnel and assets at
What? Bro, why did you walk away, Joe? Why'd you walk away, bro? Why'd you just walk away like that? That's not cool.
Mr. President?
Look, you just ignore the people. At least Trump would have dogged him or something. Would have told him, you're fake news. You're a loser. You just walk away. Look.
Are American troops at risk as well?
Why'd you come back like this? This is the weirdest thing in the world, bro. I said don't.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel.
I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
We'll help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed. Thank you very much.
Oh, so.
Well, some breaking news from the White House. White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich.
A NATO ally. We will defend every inch of NATO which the treaty requires and calls for. We'll have.
Why do you look like this, Joe? Why do you look like this? You belong in an old folks' home, my friend. I would never make you a moderator because you belong in an old folks' home. I need a younger moderator.
Have something.
You know, in their like 30s, 40s. You know, not in their 90s or 100s.
That we do not seek. Make it clear, we do not seek. We do not seek to have American troops fighting in Russia or fighting against Russia. And if Putin attacks a NATO ally, we will defend every inch of NATO which the treaty requires and calls for. We'll have something that we do not seek. Make it clear, we do not seek. We do not seek to have American troops fighting in Russia or fighting against Russia.
This dude can't say nothing right, bro. I don't get it. How do people vote for this or support this is just beyond me. Here's a good one.
It wasn't confrontational at all. He came with me.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Vladimir and I, I shouldn't be so familiar. God save the Queen, man. Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000,000 dollars. Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000,000 dollars. Donald Trump.
I'm done. Donald Hump. The America's people. Bro, he said Donald Hump.
Trump is reelected. Donald Trump is reelected. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yo, if you guys haven't yet, please make sure to hit that like for me if you could.
Those are the words of Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I love these videos.
Our Supreme Court Justice. Happy birthday, dear Violet. Happy birthday to you. Secretary of Homeland Security, a guy who took the job. Thank you for taking the job.
People of the government.
Great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip hop.
What's up, boy?
LL Cool J.
Please know the dude's name.
By the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's spent.
I love those videos. Hello, J. Cool J. Here goes 8-minute one.
Dick.
President.
How are you?
Dick.
Thanks for swearing in.
Oh my God.
Easy to swear at you. We've got news. Rashid Sunak is now the prime minister. You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough. What a stupid son of a bitch. But guess what? We got a lot to do. Gotta say hi to me. We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway, this woman helped me get an awful lot done. Anyway. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I'm gonna make a video about this, bro.
Kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it. I'm sorry to take so long, guys, but everybody knows I like kids better than people. I like kids better than people. Everybody knows I like kids better than people.
Look at Dan.
Now, the very important thing I told my daughter and granddaughters, no serious guys who are 30.
Wrong with this, bro. If this was my kid, I would punch him in the face.
Okay. No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
I'll keep that in mind. At least.
People are waiting for relief. I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. A lot has been happened already, number one.
Oh my
Number
gosh,
two,
why
I'm
have
gonna
families
fight
that
like
support
heck.
it?
Just remind them, I wrote the bill on the environment. Why would I not be for it? Guess what?
employers can't find workers. I said, yeah, pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening?
No, what people don't realize is when they start paying people more, they start hiking the price up more. So it doesn't matter, but it matters to the people, the everyday people that don't get that extra money. So, you know, when you start making minimum wage employees starting out at $12 an hour, and then you have people that work normal jobs that, you know, been working them for a while and just work their way up to like $15, $16 an hour. They don't get that extra hike up in pay. So it might be beneficial for like the lower employees, but for the everyday employee, like they don't get that extra money for the money that everybody's making. So it really messes things up, and it makes the prices of things go even higher. This is just a common fact. I don't know how people don't understand this by now.
They're going to have to compete and start paying hardworking people a decent wage. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook.
The fact that anybody voted for this dude is just mind-blowing, bro. One, 2, 3. You're out of here! Crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I think you know how much it means to me to have you swear me in today, and I thank you. Trust and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out.
I'm gonna watch it again. Tell me this isn't like some of the weirdest shit you've ever seen.
I think you know how much it means to me to have you swear me in today, and I thank you. Trust and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out.
Wow, we're gonna watch that one more time.
You know how much it means to me to have you swear me in today, and I thank you. Trust and confidence.
This is while he was vice
I've
president.
got a lot of thanks to give out here. First and foremost to my perfect wife, Stephanie, my wonderful son, Will, and my daughter, Ava, already mentioned.
And you guys can sit in the edge or what, I don't want you to have to stand all along, but it's up to you. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him, all right?
Who says that?
Expand your capacity is through the partnership that we have, the federal and state government, along with local governments. This issue is ongoing each year, as we have discussed. It gets worse. It affects real people.
That's hilarious.
And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister. No matter what their cost, 2, 10, 12, 15, whoop, stepping on them. It's black, anyway. Oh, man, this is boring. Isn't this boring? Charlie, this is boring. Come on.
I call on you to commit to concrete actions to stop the destruction of this magnificent planet. This conference is one of the most important.
No, that'd be me though. Listen to this person talk, but I wouldn't be wearing a mask.
In history. On behalf of we, the 15, I ask you.
Please welcome the Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi.
He was Sleepy Joe on that one, all right.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Bro, what? Crazy, Tyler.
By the way, I very much worry about this guy's biceps. His biceps are big as my calves. Look at this. There's a man. I hope we're on the same side.
He's Russian.
I don't care who he is. He's got some real biceps. We call them guns.
It is so cringe, it's hilarious. Oh my gosh. I'll show you guys the one I made here in a minute. I had to delete it, but I still got it on my Rumble page.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate.
On the steps we've taken, he said, and I quote, "The combination of private enterprise and government working together has been really successful." He went on to say, all the way through the supply chain, there's a lot of innovation. Because of the actions we've taken, things have begun to change. End of quote. In the past 3 weeks...
Why did he say end of quote like that? It's so
the number
funny.
of containers sitting on docks, we're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracies.
So funny. I'll show you guys mine. I made two cool ones. So we'll go to my Rumble account. I had to take them off of here because they were I got no views on that one yet. So here, we'll do my Donald Trump one first. My Donald Trump one is great.
There's one simple sugar hack anyone can do.
Hold on, go away.
To balance glucose levels almost overnight.
Our improved 3-month survival food kit has 688 servings of delicious.
This guy gets up. Where am I?
Where am I? F minus for sure. I love this.
Where the hell am I? The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. We're not going to allow that. Somebody had to do it.
I am the chosen one.
Somebody had to do it.
Lot quicker, Mr. President.
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word. There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years, you've done nothing. Who the hell was the imposter doing like a speech like she won? She didn't win. She lost. You can't let people get away with When I watched her in the
love
fancy
it.
dress, that probably wasn't so fancy.
I just love you.
No, it's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any
Yo,
means
what up,
because
Mike?
they're looking at the polls. We really want to run
What's up, bro? How you doing tonight?
against Donald Trump. That's the one we want. How did they do in 2016, by the way? We want Donald Trump. We don't want to run against Ron DeSanctimonious with his high heels and his bobblehead bullshit, you know. No,
I'm done, bro. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Like, this is fucking hilarious, dude. This shit is so funny, bro. When I was making this, I was laughing the entire time.
It looks like a bobblehead doll because I endorsed him and, you know, I got him elected. You told me exactly. You were on the opposing party's campaign, sarcastic person, but I do it out of respect and fun and to make a point. So the other day I'm imitating Biden not getting off a stage, right? So I said, this guy can't even get off a stage. Baker today in the New York Times, he said that I want to be a dictator. I didn't say that. I said I want to be a dictator for one day. And you know why I wanted to be a dictator? Because I want a wall, right? I want a wall, and I want to drill, drill, drill.
Yeah. He gets everybody with that drill, drill, drill one.
We built 561 miles of wall, and I was going to build another 200 miles. But when the election was rigged, we couldn't do it. But I built more than I said I was going to build.
Bro.
Joe Biden can't speak clearly. He can't think clearly. So he tells law enforcement, you got to do something about this guy, Trump. He's killing me.
Joe's gotta go. Yeah. I love it. I love when he goes, this shit's so hilarious.
Now, Sleepy Joe would say the unemployment rate in the great state of Ohio. No, you're in South Carolina. Joe, you're in South. They come up and you ever see the guy in the note? No, it's South Carolina. It's not Ohio. Okay. Did you say Iowa? No. No, he did that like 7 times. If I did that once, it would be the end of the road, right?
Well, Joe's got to go 20. Without a doubt, bro.
They like to say that anyway, I guess. Huh? These people are bad
Remove
people.
every Democrat.
Oh, Sleepy Joe. But could you imagine if I said just a small fraction
And all the rhinos.
of the mistakes he makes, which are unbelievable? Every speech. I actually said the other night, I was watching him when he said about half the population wiped out with guns. I said, that's a horrible thing. That's the end of his evening. That's the end of his political career. And then after the debate, they're reviewing him. They said, Joe Biden had a great night last night. I don't get it, Tim. Bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bing. And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco.
I love it.
How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job. Does anybody think he's going to make it to the starting game? I mean, the guy can't find his way off of a stage. I've never seen this stupid stage before, right? I've never seen it. But if I walk left, there's a stair. And if I walk right, there's a stair. Where am I?
He walks into the wall.
Where the hell am I? And we will immediately.
Now let me ask you guys, who's funnier, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Who's funnier to you?
Immediately stop all of the pillaging and theft. Very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot as you are leaving that store. Shot. If you become president and you don't like somebody, or if somebody's beating you by 10, 15, or 20 points like we're doing with...
I think they're both fucking hilarious.
Let's indict the motherfucker. Isn't like when I dance a little bit to the music. That's not. And I say I have a problem. Everybody wants it. They're screaming, dance, dance.
Definitely, bro.
They put the weights on the end, little tiny things like a little nothing, 1/4 ounce, and she gets up. Oh, And her parents are so proud. Ha! 19 years! She's almost there. Ha! Boom. Couldn't do it.
This shit's hilarious.
Then this guy who recently transitioned, he gets over the weights, looks at him. They said, have you lifted before? No, I really haven't. So he gets over the same weights. Bing, boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. He broke the record like by 180 pounds.
So hilarious.
And then they say, we will have men in women's sports. These people are crazy. I'm very glad they didn't give me any notes.
What's up,
because
chat?
if I did, I would have been reading. I would have been saying, thank you, here's Biden.
Thank
you. And I wouldn't talk this way, but he indicted me.
He indicted me.
I got indicted. I'd never heard the Wharton School of Finance. They didn't have a subject on you get indicted. My mother and father, they're looking down. My son got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Al Capone was the toughest, meanest guy. If you had
we need
dinner
one more
with
to
him
get
and if
10.
he smiled the
That'd be
wrong
sweet.
way, where he thought you were maybe smiling about him or mocking him, you were dead. You're a dead
that's
person. Al
hilarious.
Capone, Scarface. That was where the movie came from. He had a scar from here to here, and he didn't get that scar from playing tiddlywinks. Do we agree? He got indicted one time. I got indicted 4 times for nothing. For nothing.
Crazy. I'd rather have a president with mob ties than pedophile. Richie, you're not telling me nothing, bro.
We will return the world to peace through strength, and it'll happen.
So then I made this one about Joe Biden.
There's one simple sugar hack anyone can do to balance.
Dude, if you don't stop and just let me mute you, I'm going to break it.
Glucose levels almost overnight. Did you know?
Richie, watch
New
this one. I don't
homeowners.
know if I showed you this one I made about
Congrats
Joe
on your
Biden.
purchase.
I had to take it off my
Mikey.
YouTube channel.
Black Indian with Indian background woman in American history to be vice president. Thank you. You have a seat, take it. Tim, thank you for the introduction. I got to meet his twins and his wife, and no wonder he's here.
What
Tell you
is
what, they're going to keep him here.
What
Thanks
is
to the outstanding senators, Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin.
Watch this. Richie, watch this. Richie, you ready? Richie, you ready, bro? Watch this. He goes in this super creep mode. Watch, dude. Watch.
And Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith from the state of Minnesota. If I have all 3 of them on my side, I don't worry about anything. So I'm here today to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. The progress we're making to invest in America and American workers and American products. To invest in America. That's what we're doing. Here's this morning's headline. Well, thanks to the American people, America now has the strongest growth, the lowest inflation rate of any major economy in the world.
This dude is crazy.
I was raised in a household where we had 3 bedrooms. It was a nice home. 3 bedroom split level home and a new development of 40 homes in suburbia with four kids and a grandpa living with us.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
It's outdated design. Tight curves have led to higher than average car accident rates, traffic congestion. For decades, people talked about replacing this bridge, but it never got done until today.
Oh, dude, it's so funny.
Until today.
Grandpa was
I went to South Korea. My staff went, what the hell are they doing? I talked to the leader of South Korea. I said,
I put that in there just for that, and he goes to it later.
you have a thing called Samsung. You make a lot of these computer chips. Come to America. Well, not only they, but a total of $50 billion is coming to America, building factories in America. In America.
Bro, like, so next stream title, Grandpa was a bad dude. Facts. Richie, let me ask you, do you guys think that, like, somebody's telling him to yell right there? Because listen to this, dude. He, like, yells random words, bro. Watch. This is fucking hilarious.
America, building factories. Samsung. You make a lot of these computer chips. Come to America.
Watch.
Well, not only they, but a total of
It's corn
$50
pop,
billion is coming to America, building factories in America. It's high-speed internet today. In Wisconsin and Minnesota, we're investing $2.5 billion, $2.5 billion in high-speed internet.
Dude, I love it. This is why I love it.
I'm going to save more than 600,000 families in these two states up to $30 a month in internet bills. The household I came from, that matters. Those $30 at the end of the month bills will add up when you're living on a fixed salary. We're also investing $1.1 billion in your state to provide clean water.
Dude, I do too, Richie. Like, for real. I feel like they like, what's the next slip up he's gonna do? Do you think they fuck with them at all on the teleprompter? Like Ron Burgundy, right? And like, you know how like they throw like, remember how like they put the exclamation point and or the question mark, and he said, "I'm Ron Burgundy." Do you think that they do this to him, like right there when he yelled America a couple times, like really, really loud? Bro, I feel like I would fuck with them, bro. I'm sorry. I would be messing with them.
Water and replace poisonous lead pipes. Every lead pipe's going to be taken out. Another $1 billion to clean up the Great Lakes and provide drinking water for 20 million people. It used to make beer brewed here. It is used to make.
This one is the fucking greatest. Oh my god, hold on. I'm gonna restart it. Let's go.
It is used to make the brew.
Sorry, hold on. I want
Another $1 billion to clean up the Great Lakes and provide drinking water for 20 million people. It used to make beer brewed here. It is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder why it's that.
What the fuck did he just say? Bro, what did he just say right there? What did this dude just fucking say, bro? Oh my god, he's like the brew here. Ooh, Earth Rider. I don't. Let's listen. Hold on. We're gonna get the corn pop. We gotta listen to that again.
People. It used to make beer brewed here. It is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder why it's that.
And he ran a bunch of bad boys. Hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting for you. He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. Come down. Down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. I said, you kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in the rain barrel, get them rusty. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again. But I shouldn't have called you, Esther Williams. I apologize for that. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing out, but I apologize for what I said.
I'm trying to take a
He said,
drink
okay,
of,
close it.
I gotta pause it for a second. I'm trying to take a drink of water. Bro, this is so fucking great. I can't even take a drink of water properly. Oh my god. This is so hilarious.
With a straight razor, my heart began to beat again.
I'm sorry, guys. I fucking love Trump. Trump is my favorite president of all time. Joe Biden is 10 times funnier. I don't care what any of you guys say. Joe Biden is maybe 20 times funnier than Trump, dude. I don't care what any of you guys say. He is fucking hilarious, dude. I do not laugh as much at any president as I have at Joe Biden. It is the greatest. And it sucks that we're paying for it by him being our president, but he is fucking hilarious, dude. If you do not think Joe Biden is hilarious, there is something wrong with you. I die. Listen, I made this video and I'm dying watching it again.
Accompanied by the Director General of the International Labor Organization.
12, 15. Oops, stepping on a. It's black.
Yo, he tripped and he went like.
And the ones that didn't vote for your bills but run on them.
That's right.
Mr. President,
Richie,
thank you.
Richie, this is you. You're him going up the steps. Hold on. That's you. I feel like it's. I'm stepping on him. It's black. It's black. No, he said it's black. He said it's black. Hold on. We'll go back all the way back to when the tripping first starts. All right. I'm dying.
Accompanied by the Director General of the International Labor Organization.
12, 15. Oops, stepping on a. It's black.
This is you, Richie.
And the
So
ones that didn't
great.
vote for your bills but run on them.
That's right.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day
No,
around
awkward.
here. We'll have reaction.
Yo, he's like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. Watch.
Stop it. Get some help.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate, but for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities...
Ranking black Indian
Hold on.
with Indian background.
Hold on. You were still talking to him.
Hey there. My name is Scott. I'm going to
Shut
show
up,
you how
Scott.
to build a
Why was he still?
3-month supply
Yo.
of non-perishable. Life can change in
Come
an instant.
on. I can't even mute
Imagine
the
being
ads.
stranded in pitch black.
Oh wait, what happened? I didn't mean to do that. Okay. What the hell? Bro, that shit is so funny. Richie, you ever watch Jesse Lee Peterson one? Bro, I'm gonna show you some funny ones that I made right here.
For more now on U.S. politics and the
Oh,
state
it's
of the
my
economy,
dog.
let's
He
bring in
goes
our
to
panel.
work on
Joining
him,
us from Los
boy.
Angeles is Jesse Lee Peterson. He's an author, activist, pastor, and host of the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show. Also with us from New York is Christopher Hahn. He's the host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast on iHeartRadio. They've actually failed. Both Democrats and Republicans have actually failed the American people again.
This is a little old.
Well, the Senate surely failed. The House of Representatives passed a bill 70 days ago. The Senate refused to act on it till this week, and they can't even get their majority in line. They passed a bill 70 days ago. The Senate has done nothing. Mitch McConnell is not a leader. He's just some guy who likes to play politics, and now is not a time for that. Now's a time for leadership.
All right, Jesse Lee Peterson, what is your view on this? Welcome to the show, by the way. I mean, what is your reading of the situation right now?
I think that all people know, all honest people know, that the coronavirus is not as serious as the children of the lie are pretending. The children of the lie are the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the right-on Republicans, the never-Trumpers, and the black race hustlers. They're holding the people in captivity.
Bro, he just went in on every Democrat, bro, and all the rhinos. It is so funny listening
because
to
they
him,
want
bro.
the great white hope out
So
of office.
funny.
And I call Donald Trump, our president, the great white hope. This situation is not as bad as they're pretending. They don't want the economy to recover. They don't want the people to go back to work because they want to blame Donald Trump.
All right, but Jesse,
they have election coming up, and they don't want to do it. We just saw a terrorist attack upon America by this far left radical Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
Okay.
And those people, they ran around,
This is the
burning
problem with
buildings,
this country.
destroying.
You got guys
and
like
destroy.
this.
Let me
who are
finish.
taking
All right,
serious.
one moment, Chris. Let him finish.
Let me finish. Hold on, buddy. They went around destroying America, killing people, robbing and raping. They had no mask on, no problem. The coronavirus discussion died down. And as soon as the attack on
Jesse, let me ask you this.
America
Okay, Jesse,
died down, now they're talking about the coronavirus.
Let me ask you this. How can you say that the coronavirus pandemic is not as serious as the media makes it out to be when we have 150,000 people dead and 4.5 million people infected in the United States?
Well, what you have to realize is that hospitals get money for lying about the coronavirus situation.
No.
So most people that go into hospitals today, they can go in for cancer, they can go in for other things.
All right, these
and the hospitals are lying and saying that, oh, they died from coronavirus. I'm not allowed to interrupt me. Hold on. I didn't interrupt you. Hold on. And so the hospitals are lying about these stats, about these numbers. Getting rid of Donald Trump is not about the people. The people, politicians would allow the people to suffer in order to get rid of Donald Trump. That's what this is all about.
You want to know what the problem in America is right now, is that one party is captured by people like Jesse.
I'm telling you the truth.
One moment, Jesse. Let me
want to
finish.
talk about.
You are
we
a
want to
liar.
talk about what.
You are
we want to talk about
You're
what's
one
going
of
on.
them.
Okay,
You're
Jesse,
one of them, and
Jesse,
cannot
shut up.
trust it.
It's a
You're
disgrace
a
to
liar.
this country,
You
and
are
we
a
have
liar.
we have a situation in this country that is
Satan is
severe,
your
and you
daddy.
are making
Satan is
things
your
up
daddy.
because
Satan
you
is your
know
daddy,
nothing,
and you are
you
a
do
liar
nothing,
and
you cannot
trust
even.
it. This is
Okay,
about
Jesse.
getting rid of
You want to know what? You want to know what's wrong with America?
You are
It's
you're
you.
trying
It's
to
people
deceive
like
the people.
you
No,
who support
it's
this
people like
president.
you.
Lie,
It's people like
cheat,
you and the Democratic Party.
I have got to move on.
You are
Okay,
liars. First of all, the president took action early on, and when he banned travel from China and parts of Europe, these same radical far-left lying Democrats call him a racist. Even Nancy Pelosi went down to Chinatown, prancing around with the Chinese people. Oh, no problem, no problem. They are against it because they are liars, and what they want is power and wealth. That's what they want, and the president is in the way of their way of getting control of the people and getting finance for themselves. And this idea of possibly not holding the election in November, I like that idea because the Democrats are desperate.
I like
They
that
want
idea.
Power and wealth.
Yeah.
They are far left radical. They are so far left now they're falling off the edge, and
So,
they want to
Jesse,
control the people. And the Democrats cannot be trusted.
We
Hold
need
on,
to cut-
Democrat.
why would we need
Hold
to-
on, Beta.
He said, hold on, Democrat. Hold on, beta male.
Close the election. Why do we have to do that, Jesse?
Beta male.
No, wait, why don't you
Okay, one moment, Chris.
Because you're conflicting.
Why are you always interrupting, man? Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you.
Because you're a lying fool, and I don't want the people of the world to hear you.
I don't need you to interrupt me, Mr. Beta male.
Oh, you think I'm a beta male? Come on out here.
Hold on, Beta male. The president and
Come out
all
here,
of us,
Jesse. We'll see who's a beta male.
Okay.
Oh, Jesse, you have proven it on your own show.
He black.
Get rid of the white man and everything goes to hell.
It really does. So I wish it wasn't like that. But the reality is, it's difficult working with black people. When they mess up and you have to correct them, you got to argue with them. You got to fight with them. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing I ever seen. And they don't seem to really know stuff. It wasn't like this, though, prior to the Civil Rights Movement. Blacks were smart. They were on it.
The savage
and
for sure.
they didn't fight with their bosses. You really have to argue and fight with them, and then they hand their hands out for a paycheck. I know other races of people, including whites, Jewish people, those Iran people, the foreigners, and they come here, they set up shop, they have businesses, and they tell me in private, Jesse, I can't hire black people because they're so difficult. Black people messed up. And it wasn't always that way. That's what's so weird about it. I happen to know another world. I know a time when black people were not this way. You correct them, you got to fight with them. You point out stuff, they argue right away. They deny, they argue, they deny. I'm like, what in the world? And they used to just do it to other black businessmen and women owners. But now I think they do it to everybody. White people, you got to have white babies. Get married and have white babies. Because if you give up, it's over for this country. Unless there's some land on this earth that no one has discovered yet, and you can go and start. But the reality is, black people are difficult. The men and the women. It's not just the women. Men used to be logical. They understood common sense. They don't argue back at you. They don't try to prove anything. They just do what they need to do, and they do it right. And if they're wrong, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I was wrong. But now you argue with the men like you argue with women, especially black men. It's just reality. And white people, you know it. You need to start saying it. Otherwise, they would never come. Black people don't self-correct.
So funny.
If blaming is wrong, why are you comfortable with allowing whites to blame blacks for the college scandal? Your theory is that all whites are good enough and not a single black can get into college.
What you got to realize, blacks are not smart enough. They don't qualify to get into colleges or be a good actress or actor or actress. And that's why blacks have forced affirmative action upon white people. Blacks have forced white people to accept that they don't know how to do it. They are not smart enough, so let us in because we're black, and they say. You got to let us in. And then the white people finally said, all right, I'll let you in, but at least pass the SAT score, the test. Because the SAT test is for white people. It's too much. It's too hard for black people. We don't feel like studying, they say. We don't feel like studying to pass the SAT. Put the scores down lower for the black people. White people say, all right, Lord have mercy. Y'all can't pass the test.
Lord have mercy.
I don't know if it's changed or not.
Lord have mercy.
If you want to become a police officer, and this is in Dayton, I think. It may be all of Ohio, but I remember reporting on the Dayton. The black people couldn't pass the civil service test because they said it was too tough. It was white people test. And so they lowered the score. They said, okay, you can't make an A. How about a B? No, we can't make a B.
It was a white people's test.
How about a C? No. How about a D? No, we can't make a D. Okay, black people, if you can make an F on the test, we'll let you in as police officers. Even the air traffic controllers, they said, we can't pass this test. There are black organizations out there who say, okay, we'll help you cheat. It's so real. Funny. Black people cannot pass these things now because they are just not smart enough. They have forgotten how to be, as they did in the old days. Black people hustled, they studied, they did what they have to do because there was a shame in being dumb. No shame anymore. So affirmative action allow black people to get in, which means that they got to push out the smart people. The whites and some of the Asians can't get in. They're too smart. Now white people are saying, well, you know, we're not going to be able to get our kids into these schools. So we got to buy our way in. We got to go around it and buy our way in. White people would not be buying their way in that way. And they're too afraid to tell blacks. So blacks are not in these universities. They're not becoming doctors and lawyers and things like that because they qualify. They're becoming that way because of affirmative action. So they're not real doctors and lawyers and entertainers and things like that. Remember when the blacks were just bitching about white people didn't give us an award. Even Will Smith's wife, remember her? Now white people like, Lord, let's give y'all award. Let's pretend like y'all movies are good too. Give me your little slave movies. We'll give you an award for that. Even your little Selma movie. Y'all always down to Selma. Am I wrong, Joe?
I'm dead.
Sorry, I'm trying to. I'm reading these super chats to make sure I don't get it.
I don't blame you, buddy. Now you're studying. Joel is an exception. Blacks are not getting into acting, the entertainment world, jobs, doctors and lawyers and politicians and things like that because they're qualified. They're getting it because of their color. First black president because he's black. And look what he did to the country.
One of the
Big
worst.
Mama Michelle hoochie mama all the way through the 8 years of being there. Obama tried to turn it into a socialist society. Police attacks went up through the roof. The races were divided more than any other time in history. Christians were attacked. Everything went to hell because he was not qualified.
Oh. Hey, he said it. I got more on here. Let's see. I wish I would have put them all up. This is one he did with Oh, I put the whole 1.5 hour thing up here. Beautiful. Yeah, Hoochie Mama Michelle. So I got the whole
This
1.5 hour one up here.
potential start.
I took all of them and put them into one.
Are you black? Put your other black businessmen.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Here's what I wanted to watch. This was great.
As a expert, and next to him is Joel. He black.
He black.
Have you ever and can you ever solve a non-practical problem by thinking about it?
No, sir. I think you just, I don't know, but I think you just make it
No.
worse.
What are you doing,
The
Josh?
more-
Josh, make sure you like it really quick. We're at 9 likes. I need one more for 10. And chill here for a little bit because I said
The
so.
more you, the more you think about it, the worse it
I
gets.
was bored, bro. I mean, I just watch this shit all the time anyway. Thank you, and I love you. I watch all this stuff anyway, so I don't know. I was just chilling. I'm going to bed soon, though. Right here in like 20 minutes.
Explain.
I don't really know. I know that you can't because you start to come up with, like you talk about all the time, like the devil will give you the problem and it'll also give you what you think are solutions for the problem, but really you're just making the problem worse. I think you just gotta, I don't
Was
know,
it any good?
maybe not do anything or I don't know, but
Really? That's a movie about the kids that played the video game and then they became really real life racers, right? And it's like a real true story.
the more you think about it, the more I think you dig yourself dig yourself deeper.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Why
looks
you
good.
laughing, Joe?
What's it on?
I'm laughing at you.
I don't know. I'm kind of low on wisdom this one. I don't have anything that profound. Not that,
Not that what?
not that I, am the most profound person, but I'm just saying. Today I'm even less.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, okay.
I got bit by a dog over the weekend. It's been stressful the past couple of days. Anyway, let's see it, Joe.
Got bit by a dog.
Yeah, it's a long story.
You got rabies.
Well, the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the problem, it just caused more problems. I went to urgent care. So it's a perfect example of thinking about it doesn't help.
You went to urgent care to see if you had rabies?
I did. Anyway, yeah. Well, I don't know. They kind of just put some stuff on it. It was minor. Gotta be sure nowadays,
Minor rabies.
Give him baby aspirin and a cartoon Band-Aid.
Hey, you have minor rabies. This is all you need.
Okay, we're digressing.
Joel, are you concerned about
sitting next to Hassan and he might have rabies?
Yeah. Are you concerned you catch rabies?
Thought about it as soon as I sat down.
These rabies.
Your dog disease.
Oh, you don't want rabies. It's crazy.
Your
I
dog
heard.
disease.
Yeah, like you can't drink water, but you're thirsty and you die.
And then you don't remember your wisdom.
Wait a minute. Why can't you drink water?
Because you just can't keep it down.
Look it up, Nick.
I'm getting scared now.
So you better call your mama.
We gotta have a sweet potato pie contact before I expire.
Who gets Sandman when you're gone?
It's a good question. That's the real important. Jesse.
His mama take it.
No, I'm gifting him to Jesse.
You won't last long. Mr. Sandman will be following you real soon.
Talking about his dog.
Give him to your mama.
I mean, that's probably not much better. Rather euthanize him.
If you leave with me, I'm gonna put him outside. The sooner your eyes are closed.
Let him fend for himself.
Let him go wherever you want to go. Nick says, seek immediate care if you were bitten by any animal. You may be in danger. He did, Nick. He went to urgent care. They put a Band-Aid on him and gave him a glass of water and told him to go home.
You're foaming from the mouth if you have rabies, though, right?
You are foaming. Did you drink?
What is happening?
Did you drink water today? You want some water?
Make sure you don't have
I
rabies.
gotta see if I can hold it down. Oh my god.
Oh. Anyway.
You want me to answer?
This is funny. I don't even know why I'm laughing.
They have morbid sense of humor.
Oh my god.
I gotta leave the
I'm
studio
crying.
right now.
I don't even know why.
Are we on drugs? What's going on?
Maybe I give everybody rabies.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Let me see if I can drink water.
Maybe it's a gas leak. Well, now he's making rabies jokes. Terrible. I disavow this.
I gotta go throw up.
I disavow.
Target is selling a black disabled Santa.
Do
you know why that is, Joel?
No, I mean No, I don't really know why, but
There's a picture of him. You know why, Joel, real fast?
no, I don't know why, but I can assume
Because he black and no work is expected.
Right. No one can afford Christmas presents this year, so they need an excuse.
No, black ain't gonna deliver them anyhow. So they put him in a wheelchair because blacks are not. They know the black person ain't gonna do no work trying to deliver no gifts.
that might be.
It's your duty to say, I got this. Before you play that, Hassan, do you agree with that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm not sure.
What?
I'm still thinking about Sandy.
Poor Sandy is over.
Bro, I
Sandy
love
would have
Jesse.
been survived now. And this is sounding like a bulldog or something.
Yeah, but
well, the bull has gone away from the dog. Sandy would have been able to survive outside. Now he's so weak.
He's talking about his dog still.
It's true.
So, like, when you go on a date, do you normally pay or the girl pay?
No, I usually do.
Every time?
Yeah, and it's probably because I'm just conditioned.
Have you ever, a woman invited you out and she paid?
I don't know if I've ever been invited out by a woman. You normally
what?
Normally I have had it where I invite her out and it's a Dutch treat. Everybody pays.
Oh.
Not that I planned it like that, but
Right.
she just voluntarily paid her part. I'm like, okay.
Well, I would say okay too.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, I'll pay sometimes. And then I spring it on them. Okay, you want to pay? And then they're not ready for it. Oh.
Girl, have a woman ever invited you out? Because these two guys never been invited by the woman. They have invited the woman, but never been invited, and they pay. Have a woman ever invited you out and she paid?
Yeah, I've been invited out and she paid. Like I didn't have to tell her, oh, you better pay. They always paid. Normal. It just felt normal because it seemed the idea of me like I don't know. It just seemed weird for me to pay if she is the one that invited me over there.
Yeah, you shouldn't invite me. You want to pay.
Yeah.
I ain't had no money. That's why I ain't invite you. And are you surprised that there are guys in this world where women, they've never been invited out by the woman?
I've never been invited out by I never, that's new. I never heard that.
I never heard, I'm stunned. And these like old guys, these are like baby guys.
In high school, there was girls that would like offer to get stuff, but I was just taking advantage of them. So that's not a good thing. It was like these girls who were like a little bit larger and maybe weight, and they would offer to buy sneakers and get you Chinese food every day.
Yeah, I have fat girls do me that.
Yeah.
But that's
Trying to get you.
That's not the same thing.
No, not the same thing. Since you've been a grown man.
That's
Now,
so
let me ask you this.
funny.
I'm talking about since you've been a grown man.
Let me ask you this: Is it the same if they pay for themselves, but then you pay for yourself, or are you saying they pay for the whole thing?
Let me go quickly to Jason out of Buffalo,
I love Jason, bro.
New York.
So great.
Jason, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, man?
All is well.
Hey, why'd you make that lady cry yesterday?
I'm sorry?
I was watching your church, and you made that lady cry yesterday. Why you be doing that?
What lady did I make cry?
Come listen to you. Like, why did she put it? Like, I would like to ask her, why did she put herself through that? Like, talking to you just to go sit up there and cry like that. But
how did I make her cry?
It's like impossible. Your details. You say like you just
Like, what's impossible that I said to her?
Like, hold on. What did you say yesterday? You said like, you said you'll find perfect love. Like you say, you tell people you can find perfect love through the silent prayer.
Why do you say that's impossible?
Because first of all, like you have like if it was perfect, if the prayer was perfect, then like you would only have like if you the first time you did the prayer, like it would work that way if it was perfect. Like when you start your car, like the perfect start is anytime your car starts. It is perfect whenever your car starts. So like with the prayer, the change would be like. The change will be consistent. What you mean? How do I know that? Like that's what normally what happens when you start
How do you
taking
know
medicine.
that's what happens?
No. I mean, just like you don't know parallelism and you don't know symbolism. But I'm gonna try to.
Watch that. This is hilarious.
I don't know parallelism or symbolism.
Symbolism.
Is that the same thing? Anti-Semitism?
Symbolism and anti-Semitism is two different things.
What's the difference?
Why do people listen?
What's the difference between symbolism and anti-Semitism?
Anti-Semitism is people that hate like the Jewish faith because they are Jews, because of like their religion. Huh?
You love If you can you can hear. You love the Jews?
Do I love the Jews? I don't know. I told you before that concept of love. I don't agree with your.
Do you love the Jews?
I'm gonna say I don't love anything. See, your concept of love, I don't have that same concept of love, so I'm gonna say no. I mean, your definition of love, so I'll make sure I answer it in the right context.
But what your definition of love? Do you love the Jews?
No, it doesn't like that. Like, see that, like my definition of love. As far as my definition of love, then like I have no concept of like. That's what I'm saying. Like the concept.
You have
and the
no concept of love.
I have like no concept of a worldwide love. I have no concept of love of nothing that is attached to me. Something I have no.
Are you black?
Are you gonna tell me? Give me your
I'm
definition
asking
of love.
you based on your idea of love. Do you love the Jews?
Based on my idea and concept, like I don't have no worldwide love like that. I don't have no universal like love like that.
You don't have any universal love. That are you based on your lack of universal love? Do you love the Jews?
That doesn't work. No, you gotta have a.
How do you know it doesn't work? Did you try it?
No, it's a deeper explanation because like you could be. So you're saying you can't be neutral about something? You can't have like you can't have like it or not like it. You can't be neutral about something.
If you don't love all, you love none.
Where is that at? That's in the Bible?
Yes.
Where?
It's in the Word. Oh, you read the Bible.
Oh yes, I've read the Bible.
No, you haven't.
How you gonna tell me what I've done?
If you had read the Bible, you would know about that.
You know every detail in the Bible, my dude.
I'm sorry?
You know every detail in the Bible without having to look it up.
What?
Do you know every detail in the Bible? You know every scripture in the Bible by memory without having to look it up?
No. Conservative women are as bad as liberal women. They're no different.
That's fair. I guess that's my last question is how do you know if she's a good woman or not? Because it's so easy to be tricked.
No such thing as a good woman, so don't expect it.
Okay.
There's no such thing, Andrew, as a good woman.
Okay.
That's when I start. Of course, I show respect. I take my hat off. I look across. My wife is sitting down with her hat on. So I go. I'm not even supposed to walk, right? So I'm already breaking rules. I go over to her. I say, "You need to stand up and take your hat off." And she stood up. She's like, "Well, I don't want to take my hat off because her hair, whatever." Black woman with her hair.
A black woman?
I said, listen. Yeah.
Are you white?
Yes.
Well, what are you doing with a black woman?
That's a whole other story, Jesse.
All right, but go ahead.
I've always loved black women, Jesse. Ever since I was a kid. No, I don't hate white women. My first baby is from a white woman.
You love your mother?
No.
That's why you got a black woman.
Yeah.
But it's the same spirit.
She wouldn't take her hat off, so I ripped it off. And now she's upset. And more than upset, you're shaming me by keeping the hat on. And she said I shamed her by ripping it off. And so that's the dilemma. On the way home, she said that no one's ever treated her that way and that ripping the hat off her head was just too much, too far. She agreed that she should obey me, but that was too much, and that I shamed her. For the most part, she submits, but not that night.
Well, just tell her that next time if you were to take your hat off, I wouldn't have to shame you.
Today.
Yeah, do not argue. From this day forward, never argue with her again. Either she obey or she doesn't. And if she doesn't obey, you'll see the next thing to do. No argue at all, because that's the devil in her that's evil, and it needs you to argue in order to stay alive. But if you don't argue with her, she either has to find somebody else to argue with, or she'll overcome evil.
Man. You and me, is that too far to rip her hat off?
I don't know. I would have to been there to see for myself. But you need to know for yourself if that was the right thing to do. If you think that, I shouldn't have done that, I took it too far, then just apologize. You know what? You're right. I should not have done that.
For more now on U.S. politics and the state of the economy, let's bring in our panel.
People were not this way. You correct them, you got to fight with them.
Let's see.
Sir, power, moral. I agree. It is in comparison.
How do you say that you're supposed to get to heaven? Like this is like my.
That was more Jason.
How do you get to heaven as far as like your doctrine and stuff like that? I don't think you're a Christian.
What'd you say? What was your question?
Like, to get it off my chest. To get it off my chest is, I don't think that you're a Christian. I think you're a Jew.
A Jew?
That's my get it off the chest. Yeah, I think you're a Jew. I don't think you're a Christian.
That's nice. And you make a good point, Jason, because Christianity originated from Judaism. So you may be onto something. I never, maybe I said I was a Zionist, right? Didn't I say it at some point?
Dude, it is wild.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Nice, Jason. So you recognize the Jew in me. You can not believe in the Son in order to believe in the Father. When did I say that?
No, whenever you said no, you said you had to return to the Father in order to get to heaven.
What?
So I said you're not a Christian. That's why I said you're a Jew.
You said, what did you say about Jesus?
Like, for Jesus, you know how you got to accept Jesus into his heart. You got to be part, like...
You got to accept Jesus to your heart? Have you done that?
No, it's like they tried to indoctrinate me when I was little, but I fought out of that.
So you never accepted Jesus in your heart? How did you accept him? How did you accept him in your heart?
I believed him. I tried to follow his policies. I tried to do the things that they said that he would want me to do.
And did it work?
To be like, oh nah, because
so you didn't believe him then? You didn't believe him?
Okay, I guess at the time, I said there was a moment that I did believe though.
No, you didn't. You can't. You never believe, because if you have believed, you can't unbelieve what you believe, boy.
Okay. All right.
So you have never believed.
No. I disagree with your premise. I believe that you can.
You disagree with what?
Hold on. I used to hold on. I can tell you. I used to believe in Santa Claus. I don't believe in Santa Claus no more.
You never believed in Jesus either. So you never believed in Santa, and you never believed in Jesus.
You're trying to say when I was little and believed in Santa Claus. When I was little and believed in Santa Claus, and now that I'm older and I don't believe in Santa Claus, the fact that I didn't believe, the fact that I believed in Santa Claus when I was younger, I cannot not believe in Santa Claus.
I don't know how you ran over from Jesus to Santa Claus. I say that you never believed in Jesus.
So you say, hold on, you saying I was explaining to you how you don't see the parallels that I try to use between Santa Claus and Jesus.
What?
We can even go Jesus. When I was little, the parallels between how I'm using Santa Claus in the statement and defending my point, and how I'm using Jesus and trying to defend my point.
There is no parallel between Jesus and Santa Claus, man. What the?
For me it is.
Why? You been smoking pot?
No. Let me explain it to you. When I was little, I used to believe in Santa Claus. When I was younger, I used to believe in Jesus. Now that
you never believed in Jesus.
How you gonna say I never believed in something?
Because when you believe in him, you can't unbelieve.
Right, so Jesus is different from anything else. Unicorn, fairy.
Jesus what? You said what?
No. Jesus is different from fairies and monsters and all types of stuff.
Is Jesus different from fairies?
Yeah, fairies, monsters, ghosts. Because people actually
what's a monster?
What's a monster? You never had nothing that you was afraid of.
You've been afraid of monsters?
Not it used to be this alien from this from the thing Tales from the Dark Side, no, Twilight Zone. They got this Twilight Zone era, this Twilight Zone episode that they got this alien. They used to scare me. Yes, when I was younger. I'm not afraid of it no more.
What does that have to do with Jesus?
Look, because I'm trying when I was younger, explain it to me how I used to believe.
If you do one more
No, explain this to me. Can you explain this to me? Can you explain this to me? Can you explain to me? Can you explain this to me?
If you do one more, can you explain it to me?
How Jesus is different.
What?
From how you can have a belief in something when you were younger and don't have the belief in that now. And how does that discredit having a belief in something?
You have never believed in Jesus. Because had you believed in Jesus, you can't unbelieve in Jesus. You can't be born. Can't be born of the Spirit and then be unborn of it. You can't be born of the Spirit and then be unborn of it.
All right, so based on that same premise, why you got to keep doing the silent prayer over and over again? You just don't have to do it once.
You don't.
If your God is so perfect.
You don't keep You don't need to. That's why you're not doing it.
No.
You don't have to do it if you don't want it. You can stay in your hell. But how did you go from Jesus to Santa Claus? There's no parallel there.
Yes, it is. Like when I was
when I was
younger,
Santa Claus
let me explain the
is
parallel.
white.
Let me explain it. Jesus, like, when people are younger, they are taught about Jesus. When people are younger, they are taught about Santa Claus. And being taught about, like, they end up having like a belief. They think it's real.
Jason.
How, like, my question is, how is
Jesus is Jesus, and he's a Jew. Santa is Santa, and he white.
So having the same, like, so you're saying if you believe in Jesus, then you believe in Jesus forever. You cannot, like, not fall out of the grace of the... How is that possible?
Fall out of the grace of what?
No, explain to me how, like, a belief, like, you can't, your belief in Jesus is eternal and doesn't end, and you can't not believe in the... Your belief in Jesus is eternal and doesn't end, and you can't not believe in the... How you just get to like not be able to break? No, explain it to me how you cannot break. You said I didn't have a belief in that Jesus when I was
funny.
Right, because if you believed in Jesus, you can't unbelieve in Jesus.
Makes sense.
Did you come from your mother's womb?
Did I come? Yes. Did I come from my mother's womb? Yes, I did. Yes, I was not born.
Can you go back into your mama's womb?
Can a butterfly turn back into a caterpillar? No,
I didn't ask you about a butterfly or a caterpillar. What's up? I asked you, could you go back into your mama's womb? Why not?
Well, once you come out, her body changes once she gets rid of you. Once she drops you.
No, you change it.
Like, let me explain my point. Since you asked such a stupid question, so first of all, her body changes, so it wouldn't be able to hold the capacity of you being born because you're gonna grow.
No, you can't get back in there, buddy. You can't be born again from your mother. Can't go back into the womb.
Dude is delusional.
How can you, once you're born of the Father, how can you be unborn?
Wow, and there it is.
I guess, like, okay. According to you. This is like, I'm thinking.
I want you to answer me according to Jason. Once you're born again of the Father, man, how can you be unborn? How? Tell me how, a brown cow.
First of all, you can't be unborn. You can't. Like, you're born already. Being born, like, unless you're talking about being born and be birthed out of the Father.
All right, guys. On that note, I'm ending it. I'm tired. I'll see you guys later. Appreciate you all stopping by. Have a good one. Peace.